In the world of ancient tales, there lived a creature so fierce and mysterious that it became legendary across the ages. Cerberus, a monstrous guardian with not one but 3 snarling heads, stood watch over the underworld. His story is both haunting and mesmerizing, a tale that has lingered in hearts and minds for centuries. Cerberus wasn't just any beast, he was born with a purpose and a terror that ran deep in the souls of those who dared to speak his name. His duty was as simple as it was fearsome, to guard the gates of the underworld and prevent the living from entering and the dead from ever escaping. Imagine standing before those gates, where the faint, chilling echo of his growl fills the air. Cerberus's heads, each as fierce and alert as the others, scan the shadowy depths, never resting, never allowing a single soul to defy the eternal order. His presence is both a warning and a promise, an assurance to the dead that they are bound forever to the world below and a reminder to the living that this boundary must never be crossed. The ancient Romans held Cerberus in a curious mix of fear and reverence. They saw him not just as a monster, but as a powerful symbol of loyalty and duty. Cerberus's task was eternal, he would never abandon his post. His 3 heads watched tirelessly over every corner of the underworld, his sharp fangs ready to strike at any who dared break the rules of life and death. For the Romans, the underworld was not a place of peace but of eerie silence, shadows, and whispered memories, and Cerberus was the terrifying guardian ensuring that the silence remained unbroken. Cerberus was no ordinary creature, he belonged to a lineage of mythic beasts feared across the world. His father, Typhon, was a storming fury of a creature, a force of destruction so great that even the gods feared his wrath. His mother, Echidna, a half-woman, half-serpent, bore many monsters, each more fearsome than the last. Yet Cerberus held a unique place in mythology, an unyielding protector with a power that none could rival. His role was never to destroy but to defend, and this sense of duty shaped his entire being. In his silence, he spoke volumes, a reminder that even the monstrous could have purpose and honor. To the Romans, Cerberus embodied the threshold between worlds, standing on the precipice where life faded into death. He was a symbol of boundaries, those between the known and the unknown, life and afterlife. The world of the living was bright, filled with laughter, love, and loss, while the underworld was a place of shadows and eternal waiting. Yet, bridging these 2 realms was Cerberus, who belonged to neither and guarded both. He was the ultimate guardian, feared by all but understood by few. Cerberus's presence in myths wasn't just about fear, it was a reminder of respect for the natural order. The Romans, who believed in the sanctity of life's boundaries, saw Cerberus as a figure who maintained the delicate balance between worlds. His loyalty to his role, his dedication to an eternal task, made him a figure of both terror and awe. He wasn't just guarding souls, he was guarding the essence of life and death, the very foundation of existence itself. And in doing so, he became a symbol of obedience to a cause greater than oneself. The myths surrounding Cerberus portray him as a creature with strength and resolve that could never be swayed. Even the legendary hero Hercules, known for his might and courage, had to face Cerberus on his famous descent to the underworld. Hercules came prepared to fight gods and monsters alike, but even he approached Cerberus with caution. When he finally confronted the 3-headed beast, it was with both fear and respect, knowing that Cerberus was unlike any foe he had faced. Their clash was legendary, a battle of strength and spirit, but even in this struggle, Cerberus's loyalty to his duty never faltered. In Roman art and sculpture, Cerberus is often depicted with menacing beauty, a massive, powerful form, 3 heads, sharp teeth, and a stare that could pierce even the bravest of souls. Each head seemed to have its own mind, a trio of wills bound to a single purpose. His tail, often depicted as a serpent, added another layer of terror, as if to remind onlookers of his lethal power. Yet, for all his fearsome qualities, there was a strange elegance to him, a haunting presence that commanded respect. Cerberus was not only a creature of myth, but also a force that touched the hearts of those who believed in him. He represented the fears that linger in the dark, the unknown that waits beyond life, and the respect that must be paid to forces greater than ourselves. To stand before Cerberus in the underworld was to face one's own mortality, to acknowledge the inevitability of death and the mysteries that lie beyond. And in this acknowledgement, people found a strange comfort. For as terrifying as Cerberus was, he was also a constant, a guardian who would always be there, watching, waiting, fulfilling his duty. As time passed, Cerberus became more than just a creature of the underworld. He grew into a symbol of loyalty, strength, and unbreakable resolve. He showed that even the most fearsome beings could be honorable, that duty and purpose were powerful enough to tame even the wildest of spirits. Cerberus's story was not just about fear, but about the power of commitment and the strength it takes to guard something sacred. Cerberus is more than a monster in Roman mythology. He is the embodiment of loyalty and courage, a figure whose legacy endures because he reminds us of what it means to serve a purpose beyond oneself. Born in a place shrouded by darkness and mystery, Cerberus entered the world as more than just a creature. He was a legend in the making. His very first breath wasn't taken in the light, but in the deepest shadows of the mythic underworld, a place teeming with the unknown. The blood that ran through his veins came from forces older than time, from parents whose names alone struck terror and awe in the hearts of gods and mortals alike. This was no ordinary birth, it was the creation of something destined to walk between life and death, guarding a world no living soul dared enter. Cerberus's father was Typhon, a being of pure chaos and might. Typhon was no gentle force, he was a living storm, fierce and untamable. His body was said to be a fusion of nightmares, 100 dragon heads sprouting from his shoulders, each one spewing fire and venom. His voice was a thunderous roar, echoing across the heavens, feared even by the mightiest gods. Typhon's rage could shake mountains and stir the seas, and his wrath had once nearly brought Olympus itself to its knees. He was raw power, a tempest with a heart of fire, and from him, Cerberus would inherit his unmatched strength and resilience. Then there was Echidna, Cerberus's mother, a creature both captivating and terrifying. Half woman, half serpent, Echidna had beauty that could lure even the bravest warriors to their knees, yet her gaze was as cold as death itself. She was a goddess of the shadows, a mother of monsters who lived hidden away from the eyes of the world. To her, creating creatures like Cerberus was not an act of cruelty but a gift, a calling to bring forth beings who would embody her own mysteries. She birthed not only Cerberus but a whole brood of creatures, each unique, each powerful, each feared. Among them was the Hydra, the Lenean serpent with heads that grew back whenever cut, the Chimera, a beast of fire with the body of a lion, a goat's head, and a serpent's tail, and Orthrus, a two-headed hound. This was the family Cerberus was born into, a family of fierce, otherworldly beings, each carrying the legacy of strength, power, and fear. From his parents, Cerberus inherited more than just strength and form, he was born with purpose. Typhon's rage and Echidna's allure ran through his veins, a perfect fusion of terror and duty. He was made not to destroy but to defend, to be the guardian of the underworld, a creature bound to an eternal task. As he grew, it became clear that he was unique even among his monstrous siblings. The other creatures his mother bore went into the world, feared and hunted by heroes, but Cerberus remained. His loyalty was unwavering, his place clear. He was to protect the boundary between life and death, to ensure that no soul would leave the underworld and no living being would dare enter. In ancient myths, stories whispered that on the day of his birth, the skies darkened and the air grew thick with a strange stillness. Gods and mortals alike felt a shift in the air, a chill that spoke of something powerful taking form. Cerberus wasn't born in silence, his cries echoed in the halls of the underworld, a sound that seemed to reverberate through the very bones of the earth. From the first moment, he was a creature unlike any other. His 3 heads were said to have opened their eyes at the same time, each pair of eyes blazing with a different fire, one with the fierce vigilance of his father, one with the mysterious allure of his mother, and one with a loyalty all his own. As he grew, Cerberus began to embody the essence of the underworld itself. His body was massive, his fur as black as the shadows that cloaked his home. His 3 heads, each equally vigilant, would watch over the gates with an unyielding gaze, his every sense heightened to detect even the faintest whisper of movement. His fangs were sharp, ready to tear through any who dared threaten the sanctity of the underworld. Each time one of his heads snarled, it sent shivers down the spines of even the bravest souls. There was no doubt, Cerberus was not just a creature of fear but of reverence. To see him was to understand the weight of eternity, to feel the gravity of the world beyond life. There were tales, ancient and chilling, that said Cerberus knew every soul that passed through his gates. His senses were so sharp that he could detect the faintest heartbeat or breath of a mortal who wandered too close to the underworld. Some believed that each of his 3 heads had its own personality, its own will. One head was merciless, ready to snap at any who approached. The second was watchful, missing nothing that moved. The third was patient, calculating, always listening, as if it could hear the silent footsteps of approaching souls. Together, these 3 minds formed a perfect guardian, each head acting as an independent sentinel yet bound by one purpose. Cerberus's origins were shrouded in a strange, haunting beauty. While his siblings roamed the world, leaving trails of destruction in their wake, he remained a constant, silent, waiting. His loyalty was unlike any other, an unbreakable bond to his duty. This was a creature who had been born to serve, not for glory or fame, but because it was simply who he was. It was in his blood, in his bones. The underworld was his domain, the souls his responsibility. And in that role, he found a strange form of peace, a purpose that gave him meaning. Over the centuries, Cerberus's story was told in hushed voices, each tale adding to the mystery of his birth and purpose. His life was not one of grand battles or conquests, but of quiet, unwavering duty. He didn't need to seek out enemies, his mere presence was enough to keep even the most daring souls at bay. He was a silent force, a creature who needed no praise or recognition, only the knowledge that he was fulfilling his purpose. Cerberus's birth was a powerful moment, a blending of chaos and loyalty, strength and stillness. He was the child of monsters, yet he became a guardian, a being whose very existence reminded the world of the boundaries that must never be crossed. In the darkness of the underworld, he stood watch, a protector born of the most fearsome parents, yet driven by a purpose that was pure and unshakable. And thus, Cerberus took his place as the eternal guardian, a creature born not just from darkness, but with a strength and resolve that would stand the test of time. In the stories passed down through the ages, Cerberus became a figure shaped by 2 great worlds, the Greeks and the Romans. To both, he was the fearsome guardian of the underworld, a creature who served as a barrier between life and death. Yet in each culture, Cerberus was more than a myth, he was a symbol, an embodiment of the fears and hopes that defined those ancient societies. Through the eyes of the Greeks, he was a creature of terror, pure and raw, while to the Romans, he held a distinct meaning, an emblem of order and duty woven deeply into their culture. In Greek mythology, Cerberus was the ultimate test of courage. He was the beast who guarded the gates of Hades, a figure who commanded respect and fear. No one entered the underworld without facing him, and even fewer ever tried to leave under his watch. His role was clear and fierce, to keep the living out and the dead within. The Greeks believed that death was a final, unchangeable journey, and Cerberus stood as the reminder that once a soul passed through his gates, there was no turning back. The mere thought of Cerberus, with his 3 heads snapping, his dark eyes watching, was enough to make even the boldest souls hesitate before approaching the land of the dead. He wasn't just a guardian, he was a warning carved into the depths of Greek lore. To defy him was to defy the natural order itself. To the Greeks, Cerberus's loyalty was almost tragic. He was bound to his post not out of choice, but by fate, forever watching, forever alone. His power and duty were undeniable, yet he was caught in a cycle he could never escape, a fierce creature chained by his own purpose. This made him both feared and pitied, a force of nature but one trapped in his role. Even heroes like Hercules approached him not just with strength, but with a reverent fear, knowing that Cerberus was as much a part of the underworld as the shadows and silence that filled it. Hercules did not conquer Cerberus, he sought to understand him, if only for a fleeting moment. And in that moment, Cerberus's loyalty to his post and his unyielding strength became clear to all. Yet, when the Romans looked upon Cerberus, they saw more than a symbol of terror. To them, he represented the structure and discipline that formed the core of their beliefs. In Roman culture, Cerberus's loyalty became a symbol of devotion, a figure who, despite his power, was unwavering in his role. He was a reminder of the duties that every Roman bore, to family, to honor, and to their place in the world. The Romans respected the gods and the realms they ruled, and in Cerberus they found the perfect embodiment of this respect. His fierce presence at the gates of the underworld became more than a deterrent. It was a sacred obligation, a responsibility that bound him to his task. Cerberus's endless watch over the gates was a testament to the Roman ideals of order and service, values that formed the backbone of their society. In Roman mythology, Cerberus's story became a symbol of the disciplined life they revered. His duty was absolute, and this steadfast loyalty resonated deeply within the Roman heart. They admired his role not just as a protector, but as a creature who carried out his duty without question, without failure. To a culture that valued loyalty and duty above all, Cerberus was a reminder of the strength found in fulfilling one's responsibilities, no matter how fearsome or isolating. He became a figure of admiration, not just a monster to be feared, but a guardian who embodied the virtues of Roman life. His presence at the gates of the underworld was both a comfort and a reminder that the rules of life and death were to be honored and upheld. In art and literature, the Romans often portrayed Cerberus with a dignity that reflected this respect. Where Greek stories often emphasized his ferocity, his fangs, and 3 heads bared to strike fear, Roman depictions added a layer of solemnity, a reminder of the weight of his role. He was fierce, yes, but also proud, a creature with purpose. His many-headed form was a symbol of vigilance, his unbreakable stance a testament to his dedication. His loyalty wasn't just a chain that bound him, it was an honor that he bore with pride, a task that, though dark and relentless, gave him a place of meaning in the grand order of things. The myths surrounding Cerberus in both Greek and Roman tales served to reinforce these ideas. To the Greeks, Cerberus's story was a tale of terror, a creature to be conquered or avoided at all costs. Their heroes, like Hercules and Orpheus, encountered Cerberus with a sense of dread and awe, each approaching him not just as a guardian but as an obstacle to overcome, a final test of bravery. For the Greeks, he was the ultimate representation of what lay beyond, the unknown and the unstoppable force that awaited every soul. Cerberus was a part of Hades himself, a fixture as eternal as death, reminding all who lived of their fragile place in the world. In contrast, Roman adaptations of Cerberus focused on his role as a guardian bound by duty. In their myths, Cerberus's encounters with heroes often carried a tone of respect, as if even the bravest acknowledged his authority over the gates. This was a creature not to be defied but respected, and his presence was woven into the Roman understanding of duty. To the Romans, a story of Cerberus was a reminder that even the most powerful beings had roles and responsibilities, and that their strength lay in fulfilling them, no matter how harsh or lonely the task. The story of Cerberus, with all its shared roots and adaptations, became a powerful bridge between Greek and Roman ideals. In him, they found both terror and reverence, a creature who belonged to the shadows yet commanded the respect of gods and heroes alike. The Greeks feared him as a harbinger of the unknown, while the Romans revered him as a symbol of duty. Yet, in both cultures, he remained a figure who stood for the unbreakable line between life and death, a figure who was both a guardian and a reminder of the mysteries that lay beyond the gates he protected. In every telling, Cerberus's tale brought shivers to those who heard it. Whether feared or revered, his loyalty and strength became a timeless testament to the power of duty and the respect owed to forces beyond human control. Through the eyes of the Greeks and Romans, Cerberus's story was transformed, but his role remained the same, a steadfast guardian, a symbol of what it means to belong to something greater, even if it means standing alone in the darkest of places. There at the gates of the underworld, a creature waits, standing guard in a silence so thick it swallows all sound. His presence alone is enough to make the bravest of souls falter. This is Cerberus, the last barrier between the land of the living and the world of the dead. With 3 heads watching in all directions, each gaze fierce and unblinking, he is the sentinel of a place where mortals dare not tread, a being forged in darkness, a creature of legend tasked with an eternal duty. Cerberus isn't just a guardian, he is the very embodiment of the passage between life and death. Each head seems to carry its own expression, one with a fierce snarl, another with an unyielding, patient gaze, and the third with an eerie calmness, as if all three could see straight into the souls of those who approach. It's as though Cerberus holds every possible reaction to death within him: anger at those who would trespass, patience for those who approach willingly, and a solemn acceptance of what's to come for those who have no choice. He is neither cruel nor kind. He is there to keep order, to maintain a boundary that no mortal or wandering spirit should ever cross. His purpose is absolute, and he guards it with a loyalty that is unbreakable. Souls who arrive at his gates are meant to stay in the underworld forever. There is no returning, no second chance, no way back into the light. Cerberus stands as a reminder of this, a creature who seems to understand that the barrier he defends is sacred, that life and death must remain separate. He is not the cause of death, but the guardian of its passage, a figure meant to ensure that every soul follows its path. And for those who try to resist, they face the sharpness of his teeth, the cold fury of his stare, and the sheer, unyielding power of a creature made to guard an eternal boundary. To many, Cerberus is the symbol of the ultimate protector. He doesn't guard treasure or land, he guards the balance of life and death itself. His existence is a warning, a reminder that there are places mortals aren't meant to tread. No living being can simply walk past him, and for those few who tried, the stories tell of his wrath, of jaws that snap like thunder, of claws that could tear even the boldest soul apart. He is a figure that lives between terror and respect. The dead feel his protection, the living feel his warning. Those who arrive at the underworld are received by his watchful gaze, knowing that he stands as both their first and last view of the world beyond life. Some say that Cerberus knows every soul he guards, that he senses their fear, their sorrow, and even their acceptance. To the newly departed, he represents the end of all things, a figure who meets them as they cross into the unknown. He is not cruel, nor is he merciful, he is simply there, a silent witness to their final moments in the mortal realm. His eyes, like dark pools, reflect the last glimmer of hope or fear that these souls carry. It's said that he never blinks, never wavers, that he knows each soul's journey is unique, yet he treats them all the same, with unbroken vigilance. Beyond his role as a guardian, Cerberus stands as a powerful symbol. To those who hear of him, he represents death's inevitability, the certainty of endings. He is a figure of protection, yes, but also of separation. He guards not only the underworld but the very idea that life and death are distinct realms, that there must be a gate, a boundary, something that reminds all beings of the importance of these divisions. In a way, he protects life by guarding death, ensuring that no force disturbs the natural order. And yet, Cerberus's role isn't one of vengeance or punishment. He isn't there to harm, he is there to prevent harm to the balance itself. His duty is filled with an almost solemn reverence, a quiet strength that comes from knowing he holds the final line. In the moments when a soul might falter, when the pull of the living world might tempt them to return, it is Cerberus's presence that holds them steady. His gaze is unyielding, his stance a warning that this journey is final, that life's journey has come to its rightful end. For those who linger near the gates, he stands as a quiet reminder that life's moments are fleeting, that all paths lead to this place eventually. In his duty, there's a kind of lonely honor, a guardianship that requires him to be there, always, even when the world changes, even when gods and mortals forget. Cerberus never abandons his post. The underworld stillness is broken only by his movements, his breaths, the soft sound of paws on stone as he surveys his eternal domain. He carries out his purpose with a dignity that seems timeless, a pride in his role as the guardian of all who pass into the silence of eternity. And so, Cerberus remains, watching over the souls, protecting the boundary. He doesn't seek glory, nor does he crave freedom. He is simply there, fulfilling a purpose older than any story, older than the stars. With his watchful eyes and tireless spirit, he stands as the keeper of a promise that every soul will be honored, that every life will have its end, and that no force will undo what has been ordained. The underworld's gate will remain forever secure, guarded by the one creature who knows its weight and worth. Cerberus stands not only as the guardian of the underworld's gates, but also as a silent companion to the gods who govern it. Though fierce, he is bound by loyalty to Hades, the somber god who watches over the dead, and to Pluto, his Roman counterpart. It is a bond built not on words, but on an unbreakable trust. Hades and Pluto, despite their dark reputation, are not cruel beings, but overseers of a world no one else dares to watch. They see in Cerberus a kindred spirit, a creature who understands the weight of their duties and accepts the loneliness that comes with them. Hades and Cerberus share a connection of mutual respect that is hard to imagine between any other god and creature. For Hades, Cerberus is more than just a guard dog. He is an extension of the underworld itself, a figure whose presence brings a strange comfort in a land filled with shadows. Hades values this silent, fierce loyalty that needs no praise, no reward. While other gods have their splendid halls and lively followers, Hades' realm is a place of silence, and Cerberus is his constant companion in that solitude. There is an understanding between them that needs no words. Hades, with his stern gaze, and Cerberus, with his unflinching watch over the gates, share the same purpose. They are protectors, bound by duty, neither seeking to interfere with the other's role, yet sharing a deep and unspoken bond. In the quiet, Cerberus sometimes receives Hades' gaze, a look that says everything, an appreciation, a thankfulness, even a sense of shared isolation. The god of the underworld is not known for warmth, yet with Cerberus, he shows something close to compassion. Perhaps Hades sees in Cerberus a reflection of himself, a guardian who, though powerful, is set apart from the rest of existence. And Cerberus, in his silent devotion, becomes an embodiment of everything Hades stands for: duty, loyalty, and the respect for boundaries that few others truly grasp. This understanding is what makes their relationship so profound. It's a companionship that finds peace in stillness, where Hades' presence is a silent reassurance for Cerberus, and Cerberus' vigilance a source of quiet pride for Hades. While Cerberus shares a solemn connection with Hades, he is regarded differently by other gods. Some gods look upon Cerberus with awe, others with trepidation. He is, after all, a creature forged from the essence of the underworld, a being who stands at the threshold of death itself. When gods like Zeus or Apollo descend to the underworld, they give Cerberus the respect due to one who serves so faithfully. Though they may be more powerful, they recognize in Cerberus a force that is timeless, a being who upholds a law even they must honor. Cerberus doesn't ask for their reverence, but his mere presence commands it. Some gods, like Hermes, see Cerberus often. Hermes, the messenger who guides souls to the underworld, has a curious relationship with this fearsome guardian. To Hermes, Cerberus is a familiar face, a constant in the ever-shifting shadows of the underworld. There are tales that Hermes even managed to soothe Cerberus, whispering calm words to this beast who rarely hears the sound of kindness. For brief moments, Cerberus's eyes soften, his growls turn to low rumbles, and Hermes passes, leaving behind a brief warmth in a place so cold. Hermes is the only one who dares to meet Cerberus's gaze with a gentle smile, and for that, Cerberus seems to grant him a rare trust, a silent allowance to pass without challenge. And then there is Persephone, queen of the underworld, who shares her time between the land of the dead and the living world above. Cerberus seems to understand the dual nature of Persephone's role, treating her with an almost tender loyalty. When Persephone returns each year, Cerberus waits at the gates, as if he, too, marks her presence as a brightening of the underworld's gloom. She, in turn, has been known to gently stroke his head, to speak soft words that only he hears. In those moments, he is not a monster, not a guard, but a creature who, for a rare instant, feels the warmth of companionship. Persephone's touch is like a balm on his heart, a reminder that even in the dark, there can be kindness, there can be care. She respects him, not only as Hades' companion but as a creature who, like her, bears the weight of two worlds, the underworld he guards and the world of the gods who sometimes pass through it. The other gods who venture near the gates do so with caution. They may be powerful, but they know Cerberus is not to be taken lightly. Even gods who hold sway over nature, war, or love regard him as an indomitable presence. Ares, the god of war, once tried to face him head-on, out of pride or perhaps curiosity, but even Ares felt the raw force of Cerberus's jaws, the fierce might of a creature whose power rivals the gods. The story goes that Ares left with a newfound respect, and perhaps a hint of fear, knowing that Cerberus's role was no lesser than his own. Yet Cerberus's relationship with the gods is one-sided. He does not seek their approval, nor does he demand their fear. He simply stands, eternal and steadfast, watching over the underworld's gates, fulfilling the role assigned to him by fate. The gods may come and go, their opinions shifting like the tides, but Cerberus remains, constant as the stones beneath him, firm as the boundaries he guards. In him, the gods see a creature who neither asks for favor nor begs for mercy. He is a creature who simply exists to serve a purpose. And that purpose, that duty, is what binds him to the underworld and to the gods who govern it. In Cerberus's quiet loyalty, the gods see a reflection of the very laws that govern the universe, unchanging, unbreakable, an oath kept without question. He is not swayed by whims or ambitions, nor does he falter under praise or fear. He serves, and through that service, he holds a place in the heart of even the most powerful beings. Cerberus may not have the powers of the gods, but he possesses something perhaps even more enduring, a devotion to his role that even gods, in their splendor, must admire. And so, the gods pass by Cerberus with respect, some with fear, and a few with a quiet reverence. They know he is more than just a beast guarding the gates. He is a living reminder that duty transcends power, that loyalty is a force as mighty as any god's decree. In Cerberus, they see not just a guardian, but a creature who, through silence and strength, carries the weight of a promise that every soul, every life, will be guided to its proper place. And for that, even the gods bow their heads in respect as they pass through the gates he so fiercely guards. They say that few have ever dared to face Cerberus and return to tell the tale. He stands at the gates of the underworld, a silent sentinel, a creature as much a part of the darkness as the shadows that surround him. But there were those who tried, those who looked upon the fearsome beast and found the courage, or the recklessness, to challenge his wrath. Among these figures, perhaps none is more renowned than Heracles, whose journey into the underworld was as much a test of heart as it was of strength. Heracles, the hero known for his labors, faced one of his most terrifying trials in the dark depths of the underworld, with his task set by King Eurystheus, to bring back Cerberus. This was no simple hunt or battle, it was a journey into the heart of death itself, to confront a creature unlike any he had faced before. Heracles was strong, but even he knew that facing Cerberus was no ordinary feat. Legends speak of the moment Heracles approached the gates, his footsteps heavy, his heart steeled against fear. And there, waiting in the shadows, was Cerberus, 3 heads poised, each watching with fierce intensity, his massive form coiled with a strength that no mortal could match. In the silence that followed, the two figures stared each other down. Heracles knew that to confront Cerberus was to face death itself, for Cerberus was not merely a beast, but the guardian of souls, a creature born from the darkness that Hades commanded. Yet Heracles did not raise his weapon in anger. Instead, he approached with a calm that few could muster, his hand steady, his voice firm as he addressed the beast. They say that in that moment, Cerberus sensed something different in Heracles, not malice, not arrogance, but respect. The beast, who had torn through countless would-be intruders, saw in Heracles a rare bravery, a strength that was bound not just by muscle but by purpose. Heracles, after what seemed an eternity, managed to subdue Cerberus, not through brute force alone but with a strange, quiet understanding between them. The tale says he gently gripped the beast's heads, not to harm, but to guide him as they returned to the world of the living. And as they emerged from the darkness, the people who saw them trembled, for there was Cerberus, the guardian of the underworld, walking alongside a mortal man. Yet, even then, Cerberus was not defeated. He was not conquered. He was only lending his loyalty, for a brief moment, to a hero worthy of his respect. Heracles' journey into the underworld left an indelible mark on stories of courage and humility. Artists throughout the ages have painted Heracles and Cerberus side by side, a hero and a guardian, each strong, each bound by duty. The image of Heracles guiding Cerberus, his hand resting firmly yet gently upon the beast, is one that captured imaginations for centuries. Cerberus's fierce loyalty and his brief moment of submission to a mortal both embody the respect the ancients held for the balance of life and death. Beyond Heracles, stories of Cerberus have spread through art, literature, and poetry. In the lines of Homer, in the plays of Euripides, and the poems of Virgil, Cerberus is brought to life with haunting reverence. He stands as the unbreakable guardian, an embodiment of the mysteries of death and the boundaries that hold life in its course. The Greeks carved his likeness into stone, each head watching with a different expression, one fierce, one sorrowful, one peaceful, capturing the layered nature of a creature who both protects and terrifies. The Romans, too, depicted Cerberus with awe and fear, casting him as an omen of inevitable death, yet as a figure who was just as much a part of the order of the world as any god. In the writings of the Roman poet Virgil, Cerberus appears in the tale of Aeneas, the hero who must enter the underworld to find his father's spirit. Aeneas, too, encounters Cerberus, who stands as a living wall between the land of the dead and the trespasser. To quiet him, Aeneas's guide offers Cerberus a honey cake, a rare kindness given to a creature who knew only his duty. In that moment, Cerberus was not conquered, he was respected, pacified with a gesture that acknowledged his purpose. He allowed Aeneas to pass not because he was defeated, but because even this fierce guardian understood the power of reverence and grace. And as the centuries passed, Cerberus continued to inspire those who saw in him more than just a terrifying beast. His image became a symbol of loyalty, strength, and the unbreakable boundaries of life. Medieval manuscripts depicted him as a three-headed dog with eyes like coals and fur as dark as shadows, a creature who could not be swayed, who held fast to his purpose no matter the ages that passed. In Renaissance paintings, artists like Rubens portrayed Cerberus with haunting beauty, his three heads staring in different directions, capturing the watchful, eternal vigilance he held over the souls of the dead. In more modern times, writers and poets have found in Cerberus a symbol for the struggles and boundaries that each person must face. He represents the ultimate challenge, the guardian of the unknown, a creature who stands not only in myths, but in the minds of those who ponder the nature of life and death. His three heads remind us that life is full of challenges that require strength, patience, and acceptance. Cerberus does not bend, does not falter, he remains steadfast, reminding all who hear his stories that there are forces in the world that cannot be conquered, only respected. Through every myth, every story, Cerberus remains more than just a character, he is a force of nature, a figure who represents both fear and respect. Those who encounter him in tales often feel a chill, not just from his strength, but from the recognition that he is a creature bound by duty, by loyalty, by an ancient purpose that no mortal or god could shake. He is more than a guardian, he is a testament to the respect the ancients held for the mysteries that lie beyond life, a symbol of the boundary that none of us can cross without meeting his watchful gaze. In every story, every piece of art, Cerberus is portrayed with the same unyielding strength and the same haunting mystery. He is a figure who lives on, not because he was defeated, but because he was honored. The heroes who faced him, the gods who commanded him, and the artists who immortalized him all understood that Cerberus was a creature unlike any other, a guardian whose duty was as ancient as time itself. He remains a symbol of respect, a force that reminds us of the strength required to face the unknown, a guardian who will forever hold his place at the gates, unyielding, eternal. Cerberus, the three-headed guardian of the underworld, looms large in the stories of ancient Rome, a creature who stirs both fear and fascination. In Roman literature, Cerberus wasn't simply a monstrous figure, he was a living symbol of mystery, loyalty, and the divide between life and death. The mere mention of his name carried weight, evoking images of a creature bound to the shadows, one whose duty and nature defied comprehension. Poets and writers used his image to awaken something within their audiences, a sense of reverence, of awe, of respect for the forces that lie beyond the mortal realm. Virgil, the renowned Roman poet, brought Cerberus to life with words that linger in the reader's mind. In the Aeneid, as Aeneas ventures into the underworld, Cerberus stands before him, a mighty and relentless guard. There, in the depths, he does not snarl or rage, instead, he demands respect through his very presence. Virgil paints Cerberus as more than a beast. His three heads, each with its own expressions of fierceness and watchfulness, capture an almost hypnotic stillness. In this silence, Virgil's readers understood, Cerberus wasn't just a monster, he was the protector of the sacred, of the boundary no soul could cross without permission. His presence alone reminds all who read Virgil's words of the limits every mortal must face and the unyielding laws of nature. Ovid, another celebrated poet, wove Cerberus into his tales with a sense of tragic reverence. In his work Metamorphoses, Ovid speaks of heroes and gods descending to the underworld, each encounter with Cerberus filled with fear and respect. To Ovid, Cerberus is both a gatekeeper and a harbinger, an enduring presence that each soul must confront. His verses reveal a tenderness toward this creature, as though understanding that Cerberus is bound not by choice, but by duty. Ovid's words reach out, transforming Cerberus from a mere figure of terror into a creature one can almost pity, a being caught in the eternal task of separating the living from the dead, forever loyal to his calling. And in those moments, Ovid's readers felt a chill, sensing the timelessness of Cerberus's role, a fate so bound to loyalty it felt as though Cerberus carried a weight that even gods would find hard to bear. In these Roman texts, Cerberus comes alive in the imagination, not as a figure to be dismissed, but as a creature with depth, loyalty, and a steadfast spirit. Each time Virgil or Ovid described his snarling heads, his unyielding stance, they reminded readers of the inevitability of death, of the respect owed to the unknown. To them, Cerberus was more than myth. He was an enduring truth, a symbol that stood in the pages of their stories, a reminder of boundaries that no one could cross without consequence. The Roman fascination with Cerberus didn't end with the great poets. He became a recurring image, a figure who found his way into the words of philosophers, historians, and storytellers. The Stoic philosopher Seneca, known for his meditations on life and death, would evoke Cerberus when speaking of courage and the power of duty. He saw in Cerberus a symbol of purpose, a creature who was bound so completely to his role that he stood unbroken, unaffected by the passing of years or the changes of the world above. To Seneca, Cerberus was a testament to unbreakable dedication, a reminder that true strength lies in loyalty and the willingness to guard what is precious, no matter the cost. Later Roman writers, inspired by these vivid depictions, kept Cerberus alive in the minds of their audiences, weaving his image into their own works. As Roman literature spread, so too did Cerberus's reputation, reaching generations of readers who were captivated by the beast who guarded the gates of the afterlife. And with every mention, every description, he grew larger in the cultural consciousness, a creature so fierce, so devoted, that he was no longer just part of the underworld. He became part of the collective understanding of what it meant to confront mortality. As centuries passed, later writers and poets found in Cerberus a compelling symbol. He inspired tales of bravery and loyalty, of heroes and journeys, each invoking the haunting image of the three-headed guardian. Dante Alighieri, in his Divine Comedy, echoed the ancient descriptions of Cerberus, painting him as a monstrous figure who devoured the souls of the damned. In Dante's Inferno, Cerberus retains the terror and mystery he held in Roman myth, standing as a figure of punishment and order in the midst of chaos. Dante's version of Cerberus speaks to the undying influence of the Roman tales, a creature whose presence spanned the ages, whose loyalty to his task was so powerful that even in new lands, new beliefs, his duty remained unchanged. Writers in later periods, like John Milton in Paradise Lost, continued to echo the Roman understanding of Cerberus, grounding their own explorations of the supernatural in the ancient image of the three-headed guardian. Milton's Cerberus, while more symbolic, represents the boundaries between worlds, a creature so intertwined with the concept of death that his very existence speaks to the order of life. Cerberus became a universal symbol, a guardian, a creature of loyalty, and an emblem of the respect owed to forces beyond human control. Through the centuries, these texts shaped how generations perceived Cerberus. From Virgil's solemn imagery to Dante's fierce depiction, Cerberus was immortalized in words that brought forth the awe and fear he inspired. Even now, to read of Cerberus is to feel the weight of his purpose, to understand that he is not just a beast, but a figure representing the eternal nature of duty, a creature who, despite his terror, evokes a sense of respect for the boundaries that govern the world. In every story, every poem, Cerberus stands with an unbroken loyalty, guarding the unseen and unknown, a figure forever watching, forever waiting. In the silent halls of ancient Rome, in the delicate brushstrokes on pottery and the powerful lines of stone sculptures, Cerberus appears, his form frozen yet brimming with life and force. His three heads watch in every direction, guarding the spirit of those who have passed, protecting the boundaries of a world few dared to disturb. Sculptors captured his immense presence with stone that almost seemed to breathe, to pulse, to hold an energy that stirred something deep within those who looked upon him. Roman artists portrayed Cerberus not merely as a creature but as an omen, a sentinel whose every detail symbolized the sacred mystery of death. In one corner of a Roman household, a small clay vessel might bear his likeness, three heads crowned with wild fur, jaws open in silent roars. These figures weren't just decorative, they were meant to speak to the watcher, to remind them that life was fleeting, that the boundary between the living and the dead was fragile. Pottery, decorated with intricate designs of Cerberus and his eternal watch, became more than objects. They became symbols of reverence, connecting the people who used them to the mysteries of the afterlife. Sculptures of Cerberus were often commissioned for those who sought to bring the legend closer to their own lives. They were placed in private gardens, near household shrines, and at the entryways of homes, as though Cerberus himself stood there, silently guarding their threshold. Each carving, each detail on his three heads was an expression of both artistry and devotion. The sculptors knew they weren't just creating art, they were honoring a creature whose existence transcended mortal understanding, a figure who held a power that even gods revered. In these works of art, Cerberus was neither defeated nor tamed. He remained watchful, eternal, forever bound to his purpose. Then, as Roman architecture grew more ambitious, the likeness of Cerberus began to appear in the unlikeliest places: tombs, mausoleums, grand archways that marked the resting places of the departed. Entering a Roman burial chamber, one might see carvings of Cerberus watching from above, his head turned toward the souls within, a reminder of the great beyond. These carvings were more than ornamental, they served as protectors of the soul, guiding the departed as they moved into the unknown. With each detail, every line, Roman artisans shaped Cerberus as a bridge, a creature who stood at the entrance to another world, a guardian who ensured no living being passed without honoring the souls within. As temples dedicated to the gods took shape, Cerberus's image found a place among their walls and columns. Notably, on buildings meant to honor Hades, Pluto in the Roman tradition, Cerberus could be found standing as though he were the god's loyal companion, eternally guarding the places dedicated to the mysteries of death and the afterlife. Roman architects infused these spaces with symbols of power, wisdom, and the haunting beauty of Cerberus's form, giving those who entered a sense of reverence that transcended time. In funerary art, Cerberus became even more prominent. He was carved into marble sarcophagi, standing guard beside the souls of loved ones, offering both protection and guidance as they passed into the unknown. These tombs were not just monuments, they were sanctuaries, places where families came to remember, to mourn, to honor those they had lost. And there, carved into the stone, Cerberus reminded them that their loved ones were watched over, that even in the stillness of death, they were protected by a creature born of myth yet rooted deeply in the beliefs of the living. In each sculpture, each painted pot, each carved marble face, Cerberus became a figure who offered solace as much as he inspired fear. He was a reminder that the journey to the afterlife was one that no one could undertake alone, that even in the world beyond, there was a guardian to watch and guide. Cerberus's presence in Roman art and architecture was not merely decorative, it was a symbol of the unbreakable bond between life and death, a testament to the respect and fear the Romans held for forces beyond their control. Through art and architecture, Cerberus lived, a silent, powerful guardian of the boundary that every soul would one day cross. Cerberus, the three-headed guardian of the underworld, has lingered in our hearts and imaginations for centuries, his powerful form cast in a shadowed mix of terror and loyalty. Today, his legend has taken on new shapes, pulling at the threads of ancient fear and wonder to touch even the modern soul. In countless books, films, and video games, Cerberus lives on, not as a mere relic of the past, but as a potent reminder of humanity's fascination with loyalty, duty, and the mysteries that lie beyond our world. In modern literature, Cerberus's haunting form rises again and again. Authors who wish to evoke the darkest of places, those shadowy spaces where life and death blur together, call upon the familiar figure of Cerberus. J.K. Rowling breathed new life into his image with Fluffy, the giant three-headed dog who guards the Sorcerer's Stone in Harry Potter. Though a fictional twist, Fluffy's essence still carries the weight of Cerberus's loyalty and fierceness, his form reminding readers of the mythical guardian who lets nothing pass without a price. Cerberus has also emerged in the worlds of high fantasy, protecting places of power or ancient secrets. Writers use his image to show the unbreakable loyalty that can defy time, transforming his myth into a powerful metaphor for all who are bound by duty, caught between two worlds. Then there are the stories where Cerberus walks in shadows darker than ever. In Neil Gaiman's Sandman, he appears as a lurking presence in the underworld, faithful to Hades but tinged with a cruelty only mythology could conceive. Here, Cerberus is a true creature of terror, and Gaiman's readers feel the chilling familiarity of a guardian bound to his eternal role. The beast stands unyielding, bound to a task no mortal could withstand, embodying that ancient balance between life and death. In the vivid landscapes of video games, Cerberus has taken on yet another form. Games like Dante's Inferno bring players face to face with the terrifying guardian as they journey through the underworld. In that virtual space, players experience the myth firsthand, feeling a flicker of fear as they confront the three heads that have struck awe in so many before them. For a moment, players are part of the ancient tale, standing before a creature whose loyalty and duty transcend the ages. Cerberus isn't just a character here. He is an embodiment of the underworld's very essence, and for those moments in the game, players confront a being who is both powerful and bound, fierce and yet somehow tragic in his eternal vigil. In the massively popular Final Fantasy series, Cerberus appears as a creature players can summon, a powerful ally whose three heads symbolize both his might and his timelessness. This digital version retains the energy of the original myth, a creature both ancient and fiercely loyal, ready to unleash his strength in service of his master. In a world where so many legends are adapted to fit new forms, Cerberus's undying essence remains unbroken, a force that transcends the medium and speaks to the very core of what myths mean to us. Even in film, where creatures of fantasy roam freely, Cerberus has found his place. In Percy Jackson and the Olympians, the Lightning Thief, the underworld's guardian takes on a menacing yet tragic form. Here, Cerberus is bound by duty, watching over souls with a fierce loyalty, yet somehow mournful, a creature feared yet respected, a lonely figure standing guard over eternity. For viewers, he is a character both awe-inspiring and sympathetic, embodying the weight of responsibility few could understand. His loyalty to Hades, the god of the underworld, strikes a chord, reminding us of loyalty's power to bridge the worlds of gods and mortals alike. Through these various adaptations, the myth of Cerberus has evolved, yet his essence remains untouched. He is still the ancient guardian, the three-headed beast that protects the boundaries no mortal can cross unaided. In some interpretations, he is a figure of terror, evoking a primal fear of what lies beyond death. In others, he is almost noble, bound by a loyalty that transcends the ages. The evolution of his story has not diluted his essence. Instead, it has only added new layers, giving modern audiences glimpses into the mystery that captivated the ancient world. Today, Cerberus speaks to us as he did to the Greeks and Romans, as a symbol of all that is unyielding, loyal, and mysterious. His myth has traveled through time and adapted, yet he remains that same figure we fear yet respect, a creature who guards not just the gates of the underworld, but the unspoken questions of life and death that haunt us all. And so, whether he stands before us in the pages of a book, on the screen, or within the pixelated worlds of a video game, Cerberus continues his watch, a timeless guardian whose loyalty and mystery will forever resonate across the ages. In the depths of ancient myth, where shadows blur the lines between life and death, there stands Cerberus, a guardian like no other. This beast, with his three heads forever watching, is not just a creature of legend, but a symbol of the primal fear that lives deep within every human heart. He embodies more than just the unknown of the underworld. He is the unknown itself, the darkness waiting beyond the final breath, the place no one living has truly seen yet everyone senses. Cerberus's image, the fierce, unyielding figure with eyes that seem to peer into a soul's darkest corners, brings forth the raw emotion of fear. His form is no accident. The Greeks and Romans, so skilled at placing symbols on their gods and creatures, knew that fear was something that needed to be guarded, controlled, held back. His three heads remind us that fear watches from every angle. You can never fully escape it. There is no turning away from Cerberus without feeling his gaze on your back, a reminder that the boundary he guards is one we cannot pass until our time comes. In mythology, Cerberus is not simply a monstrous dog. He is the dread that rises when the sun dips below the horizon and shadows stretch long. He is the weight in the heart when standing at the edge of the unknown. For those who told stories of Cerberus, his presence evoked a truth many feared to face, that beyond life, there is something vast, mysterious, and inevitable. The ancient Greeks and Romans recognized that fear could be as powerful as love or courage, shaping human experience in profound ways. They saw Cerberus as a force beyond comprehension, a being both monstrous and majestic, representing the ultimate unknown every soul must one day face. Psychologists who study the symbols of fear have long observed that creatures like Cerberus speak to something ancient in the mind, something beyond reason or logic. Fear doesn't just exist in response to what we see but to what we cannot see. It lives in the what-ifs and unknowns that drift through our thoughts, often in the stillness of night. Cerberus, guarding the gates to the underworld, is the embodiment of that dread of what we cannot understand or control. His figure haunts the mind, much like those thoughts we try to push away but that always return, quietly waiting like the shadowed figure of a three-headed beast at the edge of our consciousness. The ancient artists who created images of Cerberus on pottery, walls, and in sculpture poured that sense of dread into every curve and line. They knew that his presence didn't only invoke fear of the physical but of the unknown, the great, yawning chasm beyond human life. In each of his three faces, we see facets of fear itself. One head might represent the fear of pain, the other the fear of loss, and the third, perhaps, the fear of oblivion. His three heads, looking in different directions, serve as a reminder that fear is always close, whether we are looking at the past, present, or future. Cerberus has survived in our collective memory, not just because of his terrifying power, but because he speaks to something deeply universal. The psychologists who explore symbols like Cerberus tell us that he represents a part of ourselves we cannot escape. Fear is not always something to be avoided. Sometimes, like the Romans who honored his image on tombs and statues, we are drawn to it, for in confronting fear, we discover strength we didn't know we possessed. Just as Cerberus stands resolute, guarding the unknown, there is a part of us that can face our deepest fears with courage. The image of Cerberus is powerful because he is not just a creature to run from, he is a creature to face, to understand, to learn from, even as he stands watch over the gates of eternity. Cerberus's role in mythology reveals not only a boundary but a truth about fear itself. Like a guardian, fear often has something to teach us. Just as Cerberus prevents souls from leaving the underworld, fear keeps us from wandering too far into unknown places unprepared. Fear protects us, warning of danger, demanding caution. Yet fear can also imprison us, keeping us from life's fullest experiences. Cerberus, in this way, is a paradox, a creature that both protects and holds back, reminding us that fear, like the guardian of the underworld, is both our ally and our captor. In stories and art, Cerberus's ferocity often hides a complex truth. He is loyal to his role, bound not just by chains but by purpose. This creature, terrifying as he is, does not break his duty, does not abandon his watch. There is a strange, sad beauty in this loyalty to a place none can leave. He is a reminder of what it means to stand at the edge of fear and do one's duty, even when bound to forces beyond one's control. To see him as simply monstrous is to miss the depth of his role. Cerberus is an image of devotion as much as he is an image of dread, a creature bound to a purpose that few would choose. In the end, Cerberus teaches us about our relationship with fear itself. Fear is not an enemy to be conquered, nor a friend to be trusted completely, but a guardian of boundaries we may not yet be ready to cross. We see in Cerberus's fierce form the unspoken truth that fear will always stand at the threshold of the unknown, waiting. And perhaps, like those who approached the underworld and saw the faithful guardian standing watch, we can find a measure of peace in knowing that fear, like Cerberus, is both a protector and a guide through life's greatest mysteries. In the shadowy corners of myth, where life and death intertwine, there stands a figure of both fear and solace, Cerberus, the three-headed guardian of the underworld. This imposing creature, fierce in his loyalty, serves a vital role as protector of the dead. As he stands vigilant at the gates of Hades, Cerberus symbolizes not just the terror of death, but the compassion and loyalty that come with the acceptance of fate. His presence assures the souls entering the realm of the dead that they are safe, watched over by a guardian who will never falter in his duty. Cerberus's role as a protector transcends mere vigilance. In a world where the afterlife was shrouded in uncertainty, he offered a sense of belonging to the souls who had crossed over. To enter the underworld is a daunting journey, and many myths hint at the fears that accompany it. What awaits on the other side? Will one be lost forever, wandering in shadows, never finding peace? Cerberus stands as a promise that those who pass through the gates will not be alone. His three heads, each watching in different directions, symbolize an unwavering watchfulness, ensuring that no soul goes unprotected. In stories passed down through generations, we see glimpses of how Cerberus gently guides the souls under his care. He is not just a monstrous beast, he is a faithful guardian, dedicated to his duty. For those who have lost loved ones, the image of Cerberus can be both comforting and heart-wrenching. It suggests that while death may bring sorrow, it also brings a kind of peace, a reassurance that those who have crossed over are safe, resting under the watchful eyes of a creature whose loyalty knows no bounds. In many ways, Cerberus's role as protector reflects the loyalty that families show toward one another in life. Just as they watch over each other, ensuring safety and comfort, Cerberus embodies that spirit of guardianship in the afterlife. The symbolism of loyalty surrounding Cerberus is profound. He is often portrayed as a creature of immense strength, yet it is his loyalty that makes him truly powerful. This unwavering allegiance transforms him into more than just a beast guarding a gate. He becomes a figure of love and dedication, willing to protect the dead from the unknown that lies beyond. In a world filled with uncertainty, the image of Cerberus offers a glimpse of hope, a reminder that even in death, loyalty remains strong. This sense of loyalty extends to the very essence of what it means to be human. We often think of our loved ones who have passed on, and we hope they are cared for, watched over by someone or something greater. Cerberus embodies that hope, standing as a symbol of the bond that transcends life and death. He is a reminder that love does not vanish with the last breath, it remains, guarding those we cherish, even as they move into the unknown. Cerberus also teaches us about the nature of protection itself. His role goes beyond mere guarding. He represents the sacrifices made for those we love. The stories tell us that Cerberus will defend his territory fiercely, not just from intruders, but from the fears that haunt the souls within. His strength becomes a shield for the weak, a promise that they will find peace in a world that may seem threatening. In that way, he mirrors the love and protection parents, siblings, and friends offer one another throughout life, reminding us that the act of caring often involves bravery and selflessness. Furthermore, the guardian's duty is not without its weight. Cerberus stands at a crossroads, burdened by the knowledge of all the souls he must protect. Each life that passes through the gates adds to his responsibility. The weight of the dead rests upon his shoulders, and in that weight lies a beauty. It shows that loyalty can be both a gift and a burden, and true guardianship requires immense strength and compassion. This duality resonates with anyone who has ever felt the struggle between wanting to protect loved ones while also bearing the sorrow of loss. As stories of Cerberus continue to circulate, his role as a protector deepens. He is no longer merely a figure of ancient lore. He embodies the timeless values of loyalty, love, and the responsibility we hold toward one another, even in the face of death. His image invites us to confront our fears of the unknown, not with trepidation, but with the understanding that even in the darkest moments, there exists a bond that can never be broken. When we think of Cerberus, we think of more than just a three-headed dog. We see the guardian who protects the souls of the departed, offering them a safe passage into the afterlife. He teaches us that even in death, loyalty remains a powerful force, guiding us and providing comfort. Cerberus symbolizes the eternal love we hold for those who have crossed over, a love that continues to watch over and protect. His fierce loyalty becomes a beacon of hope, showing us that even in the face of the unknown, we are never truly alone. In a world filled with uncertainty, the image of Cerberus standing watch over the gates of the underworld invites us to reflect on our relationships and the bonds that tie us to one another. His presence reminds us that protection comes in many forms, but the essence of loyalty remains constant. Cerberus, the faithful guardian, stands as a testament to the strength of love, an eternal reminder that in life and death, we are never truly lost as long as there are those who care to protect us. In the shadows of history, where fear and faith intertwine, the ancient Romans held deep beliefs about death and the afterlife. They looked beyond the veil of existence, yearning to understand what lay beyond this life. It was a mystery that stirred emotions and sparked imaginations. Within this complex web of beliefs, Cerberus, the three-headed guardian of the underworld, emerged as a pivotal figure. He stood at the threshold of life and death, embodying the hopes and fears of those who dared to contemplate what awaited them after their final breath. For the Romans, death was not an end but a transformation, a passage into another realm. They believed that the soul journeyed to the underworld, a place where the dead would reside, awaiting judgment and the fate that would follow. It was here that Cerberus played a crucial role, ensuring that no soul could escape and that those who entered were treated with respect. His fierce loyalty to Hades emphasized the importance of order in the afterlife. The guardianship of Cerberus signified that the dead were not merely cast into oblivion, they were carefully guided and watched over as they transitioned from the known to the unknown. In Roman culture, funerary rites were essential for honoring the dead. These ceremonies were steeped in ritual, designed to guide the deceased safely through the afterlife. Families would gather to perform rites that invoked the blessings of the gods and provided comfort for the grieving. Cerberus's presence in these rituals was a symbol of protection. The belief that he safeguarded the souls of the departed offered solace to those mourning their loved ones. It was a reassurance that even in death, their spirits would not be lost or forgotten. As the Romans laid their loved ones to rest, they would often leave offerings, food, and tokens of affection at the gravesites. This was a way of nurturing the bond that continued beyond the grave. In doing so, they hoped to appease Cerberus and the other deities of the underworld, ensuring that their loved ones would have a safe passage. The offerings served as a reminder that love and care do not end with death, they transform into a different kind of devotion that resonates in the afterlife. Cerberus stood as a constant reminder of the delicate balance between life and death. The fear of what lay beyond was palpable, and the three-headed guardian embodied both the dread and comfort that accompanied this journey. He was a figure that evoked a spectrum of emotions, representing the anxieties of the unknown while simultaneously serving as a protective presence. His role as a gatekeeper highlighted the significance of respecting the dead and understanding that death was not something to be feared, but a natural part of life's cycle. The Romans painted vivid pictures of the afterlife in their art and literature, often depicting Cerberus as a fierce yet loyal guardian. He was not merely a beast, he was a symbol of the love and protection that continued even after death. For the bereaved, the sight of Cerberus could evoke bittersweet feelings, reminding them of the eternal connection they held with their loved ones. It offered a semblance of peace, suggesting that their family members were safe under the watchful eyes of a guardian who understood the value of loyalty and love. Beliefs about the afterlife also emphasized the idea of judgment. The Romans believed that the soul would be weighed and assessed, determining whether it would enter a peaceful existence or face punishment. Cerberus, in this context, symbolized the importance of justice and order. He stood as a barrier, ensuring that only those who were meant to pass could do so. His presence highlighted the need for respect and honor in life, urging the living to consider how their actions would affect their journey after death. Throughout history, Cerberus's significance in funerary rites has persisted, evolving into a symbol of protection for the souls of the deceased. His image reminds the living of the sacredness of life and the importance of cherishing the memories of those who have passed on. The stories surrounding him serve as a bridge between the living and the dead, encouraging remembrance and honoring the bonds that remain even after life fades. As families gathered to commemorate their loved ones, the essence of Cerberus lingered in their hearts. They lit candles, shared stories, and placed flowers at gravesites, knowing that their gestures were not just for the living but for the spirits they hoped to keep close. The belief that Cerberus watched over them brought comfort, reassuring them that love knows no boundaries, even the boundary between life and death. Cerberus teaches us about the enduring nature of love and the connections we hold dear. His role in the afterlife reflects the universal desire to protect and care for those we cherish, even when they are no longer physically present. The stories of Cerberus resonate deeply, reminding us that every farewell is not a finality but a continuation of the bonds forged in life. In the hearts of the Romans, Cerberus stood not just as a guardian of the underworld but as a symbol of hope and loyalty. His fierce presence reminded them that even as they faced the unknown, they were not alone. The love they shared with their deceased loved ones transcended death, finding a place in the stories, rituals, and memories that would carry on for generations. As we reflect on Cerberus and the beliefs of the ancient Romans, we are invited to acknowledge our own relationships with the past. His story beckons us to honor the connections that endure, to celebrate the love that remains, and to cherish the memories of those who have walked before us. In doing so, we find a sense of peace, knowing that love and loyalty are eternal, standing guard at the gates of the afterlife, just as Cerberus did for the souls of the departed. Throughout the ages, myths have given life to our fears and hopes, weaving stories that transcend time and cultures. In this tapestry of legends, the figure of Cerberus stands out, not only as a guardian of the underworld but as a reflection of humanity's eternal fascination with the unknown. Just as Cerberus embodies loyalty and vigilance, many cultures have given birth to similar creatures, each bearing a unique significance while resonating with familiar themes of guardianship and fear. Consider the Egyptian god Anubis, the jackal-headed protector of the dead. With his keen sense of smell and watchful nature, Anubis guided souls through the perilous journey of the afterlife. Like Cerberus, he stood at the threshold between life and death, ensuring that the departed were treated with the respect they deserved. Anubis's role was not just to guard but to comfort, offering solace to the grieving and a guiding hand to the souls lost in the vast desert of the afterlife. The image of Anubis, like that of Cerberus, evokes feelings of both fear and comfort, reminding us that the passage to the afterlife is fraught with uncertainties but also filled with possibilities. In Norse mythology, the fierce wolf Fenrir embodies a different kind of guardian. Known for his immense strength and ferocity, Fenrir was prophesied to bring destruction during Ragnarok, the end of the world. Unlike Cerberus, who guarded the gates of the underworld with loyalty, Fenrir represents a force of chaos that even the gods feared. His story captures the duality of guardianship, protective yet destructive. Fenrir's looming presence reminds us that fear can take many forms, and the guardians of the afterlife are not always benevolent. He serves as a chilling reflection of how powerful creatures can simultaneously inspire awe and dread. The Japanese mythological creature, Yama-Yuba, also offers a compelling comparison. Often depicted as an old woman living in the mountains, Yama-Yuba is both a protector and a trickster. She is known to guide lost souls to the afterlife, but her intentions are not always clear. This complexity adds depth to her character, illustrating that not all guardians are straightforward in their roles. Much like Cerberus, Yama-Yuba embodies the protective aspect of death, but her unpredictable nature highlights the mysteries that surround the afterlife. Her duality mirrors the emotional conflict that accompanies loss, a blend of hope and uncertainty. Cerberus has left a lasting mark not just within Greek and Roman traditions, but also on the broader canvas of global mythology. As stories traveled and cultures intertwined, the essence of Cerberus evolved, influencing countless myths and legends. The three-headed nature of Cerberus, representing the past, present, and future, echoes in various cultures, where multiple heads symbolize knowledge and power. This motif can be found in the multi-faced deities of Hinduism, like the elephant-headed Ganesha, who embodies wisdom and protection, yet whose form also signifies the complexities of life. In many Native American cultures, the figure of the guardian animal is prevalent, reflecting a connection between the spirit world and the physical realm. Creatures like the wolf or the bear are revered as protectors of the sacred. These beings embody loyalty and strength, much like Cerberus. They serve as reminders that guardianship is deeply rooted in nature and community, highlighting the shared belief in the protective power of animals across different cultures. The influence of Cerberus can also be seen in modern storytelling, where elements of his myth have permeated literature, films, and video games. Characters inspired by Cerberus often embody traits of loyalty, ferocity, and the complexity of guarding the thresholds between worlds. They reflect the universal themes of protection and fear, appealing to audiences' primal instincts and their fascination with what lies beyond. This continuity in storytelling showcases the power of myths to resonate across generations, proving that the legacy of Cerberus is woven into the very fabric of human culture. As we traverse these diverse mythologies, the common thread that emerges is the emotional complexities surrounding guardianship. Cerberus, Anubis, Fenrir, and Yamayuba each tell a story of love, loss, and the struggle between fear and comfort. They remind us that death is a journey we all must face, one that can evoke deep sorrow but also profound connection. Each creature serves as a reflection of the cultural values and beliefs surrounding death, emphasizing the need for protection and the desire to honor those who have passed. These mythological figures serve not only as guardians but as reminders of the emotions that accompany our understanding of life and death. They embody the struggles we face when confronted with loss and the hope that our loved ones are cared for in the afterlife. The essence of Cerberus, with his fierce loyalty and unwavering watch, resonates deeply within the hearts of those who fear the unknown while cherishing the bonds they hold dear. In this rich tapestry of myths, we find comfort in the knowledge that guardians exist, whether they take the form of a three-headed dog, a jackal-headed god, a trickster, or a powerful wolf. Each story contributes to our understanding of death and the afterlife, providing a lens through which we can view our own fears and hopes. The creatures that guard the thresholds of existence connect us across cultures and time, reminding us that while death may separate us from our loved ones, the bonds of love and loyalty endure, echoing through the stories we tell and the myths we cherish. In the heart of Roman mythology, a symphony of strange and awe-inspiring creatures weaves a tale of danger, protection, and the mysteries of life and death. Among these fantastical beings, Cerberus stands tall, not just as a guardian of the underworld, but as a part of a larger family of mythical creatures that share the stage in stories that have echoed through time. His presence resonates with those of other beasts, each playing a unique role that enhances the tapestry of myth. One creature that often shares the spotlight with Cerberus is the Chimera. This fearsome beast, a hybrid of a lion, goat, and serpent, symbolizes the chaotic and unpredictable nature of life. Where Cerberus embodies loyalty and protection, the Chimera represents the wild and uncontrollable forces that can disrupt the peace. The two creatures, though different in nature, showcase the duality present in mythology, the balance between order and chaos, love and fear. While Cerberus stands firm at the gates of the underworld, ensuring the dead remain in their place, the Chimera roams free, a reminder that life is filled with uncertainty and danger. Then there's the Minotaur, a half-man, half-bull creature that resides within the labyrinth of Crete. The Minotaur's story is one of entrapment and conflict, reflecting the internal struggles that many face. Unlike Cerberus, who faithfully guards the passage to the afterlife, the Minotaur symbolizes the wild instincts that can imprison the soul. The Minotaur and Cerberus share a connection through their respective realms of life and death. Both embody the primal fears that reside within every human heart, the fear of being trapped, whether in a labyrinth of confusion or in the dark depths of the underworld. Cerberus's relationships extend beyond individual creatures to the broader mythological context, weaving in and out of various stories. The legendary hero Heracles faced Cerberus as one of his 12 labors, a task that tested his strength and courage. This encounter is not just a battle of brute force, but also an exploration of the bond between hero and monster. Heracles, despite his fearsome reputation, shows compassion in his encounter with Cerberus. Instead of vanquishing the beast, he captures him and brings him to the surface, showcasing a mutual respect between them. This connection reminds us that even the fiercest of creatures can be approached with understanding rather than violence. Another significant creature in Roman mythology is the harpy. These winged spirits often represent the tempestuous nature of life, capable of bringing destruction with their fierce winds. While Cerberus stands as a sentinel at the gates of the afterlife, the harpies swoop through the skies, embodying the chaotic forces of nature. The contrast between them is striking. Cerberus guards the boundary of death, while the harpies are free spirits, sweeping through the world, often leaving chaos in their wake. Together, they symbolize the balance of forces in nature: order and chaos, death and life, peace and disruption. The Gorgon, often depicted as a fearsome woman with snakes for hair, offers yet another layer to this intricate web of relationships. Like Cerberus, the Gorgon represents a boundary, but hers is a different kind. The Gorgon guards the entrance to the realm of the monstrous, serving as a warning to those who dare to approach. Her gaze can turn anyone to stone, illustrating the fear of the unknown. Cerberus, in contrast, actively prevents the living from entering the underworld. Together, these creatures create a rich dialogue about the dangers that lie at the edges of existence, reminding us that the realms of life and death are filled with both peril and protection. As these creatures interact, they also symbolize various aspects of the human experience. Cerberus, with his 3 heads, reflects the complexities of existence: the past, present, and future. He stands watch, representing our fears of death and the unknown, while simultaneously providing a sense of safety for the souls who pass through the gates of the underworld. In this way, he embodies the delicate balance between fear and trust, loss and hope. The relationships Cerberus holds with these mythical beasts highlight the richness of Roman mythology. Each creature, from the Chimera to the Gorgon, contributes to a broader understanding of life's complexities, fears, and joys. They remind us that in the world of myth, creatures are not just entities to be feared or admired, but rather representations of the myriad emotions and experiences we encounter in our own lives. In the end, the tales of Cerberus and his companions invite us to reflect on our own lives and the fears we carry. They urge us to confront our vulnerabilities while embracing the protective forces around us. Whether it's through the fierce loyalty of Cerberus or the chaotic nature of the Chimera, these mythical beings resonate deeply within our hearts, reminding us that in a world filled with uncertainty, we are never truly alone. Their stories endure, transcending time and culture, connecting us all through our shared humanity and the universal quest for understanding and peace. In the shadows of ancient thought, where philosophy mingles with myth, Cerberus emerges not just as a fearsome guardian of the underworld, but as a profound symbol reflecting human struggles, fears, and aspirations. The image of this 3-headed dog is so much more than a creature. It embodies the complexities of the human experience, delving into the realms of fear, protection, and acceptance of mortality. In the writings of philosophers, Cerberus becomes a bridge between the tangible world and the deeper questions of existence. Consider the role of Cerberus in the context of Stoicism, a philosophy that emphasizes rationality, self-control, and acceptance of the natural order of the universe. For Stoics, life is about enduring hardships with grace and understanding the impermanence of all things. Cerberus, standing at the gates of the underworld, represents the ultimate reality that every person must face: death. In Stoicism, death is not something to be feared, but rather an essential part of life. By confronting Cerberus, one learns to confront their own mortality. In many philosophical texts, Cerberus serves as a reminder of the dual nature of existence. The 3 heads of Cerberus can be seen as symbols of the past, present, and future. Each head gazes in a different direction, representing the complexities of human experience and the inevitability of time. The past is filled with memories, the present with choices, and the future with uncertainties. This trinity reflects the human condition, urging individuals to acknowledge their fears and find strength in acceptance. Philosophers often ponder the nature of fear itself. Cerberus, with his fierce growl and menacing presence, embodies the fear of the unknown. Every person grapples with their own version of Cerberus, a fear of failure, loss, or the unknown. Yet, the Stoics teach that true courage comes not from avoiding fear, but from facing it head-on. Just as Heracles faced Cerberus during his labors, individuals are encouraged to confront their fears rather than succumb to them. In doing so, they can transform fear into a source of strength and resilience. In the philosophical works of figures like Plato and Aristotle, Cerberus represents the tension between the rational mind and the primal instincts. Plato's allegory of the cave explores the nature of reality, suggesting that what we perceive is merely a shadow of the truth. Cerberus, as a guardian of the underworld, symbolizes the boundary between the known and the unknown, the visible and the invisible. To engage with Cerberus is to engage with one's own ignorance, to question the nature of reality, and to seek enlightenment beyond the shadows. Moreover, Cerberus's loyalty to Hades speaks to a different layer of philosophical interpretation. In many texts, loyalty is considered a virtue, a quality that binds individuals to their beliefs and values. Cerberus is not just a mindless beast, he is a protector, showcasing the strength of commitment. This loyalty is reflected in Stoicism's emphasis on duty and responsibility. Just as Cerberus remains steadfast at his post, individuals are encouraged to remain committed to their principles and loved ones, even in the face of adversity. Throughout history, philosophers have grappled with the notion of the afterlife and what lies beyond. Cerberus, as the guardian of the dead, serves as a gatekeeper to these profound mysteries. He challenges the living to consider what happens after death, prompting reflections on the nature of existence and the legacy one leaves behind. In this way, Cerberus transcends the role of a mere mythological creature. He becomes a philosophical tool for contemplating life's ultimate questions. In the context of existential philosophy, Cerberus embodies the struggle against despair and meaninglessness. The image of a monstrous guardian at the gates of death evokes feelings of dread, yet it also sparks a desire for understanding. By confronting the very idea of death, individuals can find meaning in their lives. Cerberus urges people to appreciate the fleeting moments of joy, love, and connection. He becomes a catalyst for reflection, prompting individuals to ask, what truly matters in the time we have? The philosophical interpretations of Cerberus also reveal the interconnectedness of fear and hope. While he represents the fears that bind us, he also symbolizes the hope for transcendence. The Stoics teach that acceptance of death can lead to a more fulfilling life. By acknowledging Cerberus as a part of existence, individuals can free themselves from the chains of fear and embrace the present moment with open arms. Furthermore, Cerberus resonates with modern existentialist thought, where the struggle for meaning is paramount. In the face of uncertainty and chaos, Cerberus stands as a reminder that it is through confronting the unknown that individuals can find their own sense of purpose. The three-headed guardian compels people to look inward, confront their fears, and emerge stronger on the other side. As philosophical texts ponder the nature of reality, morality, and the human condition, Cerberus remains a poignant figure, a mirror reflecting our innermost struggles and triumphs. He embodies the essence of what it means to be human, to grapple with fear, to seek understanding, and to find meaning in the face of the inevitable. In the dance between life and death, Cerberus serves as both guardian and guide, leading us through the darkness toward the light of knowledge and acceptance. Each encounter with Cerberus invites individuals to ponder their own existence, the choices they make, and the legacy they leave behind. Through this lens, Cerberus becomes a profound philosophical symbol, a reminder that even in the face of fear and uncertainty, there lies the potential for growth, understanding, and connection. His story is not just one of myth, but a deep exploration of the human spirit, urging us to embrace life's complexities with courage and love. In the heart of ancient Rome, where religion intertwined with daily life, Cerberus stood as a powerful symbol, a guardian that watched over the passage between life and death. This three-headed dog, known for his fierce loyalty to Hades and later to Pluto, was not merely a fearsome creature lurking at the gates of the underworld. Instead, he represented a complex blend of fear, reverence, and the acknowledgement of mortality that resonated deeply with the Roman people. In Roman religion, Cerberus held a unique position within the pantheon of gods and mythical figures. While he was primarily associated with the underworld, his role transcended mere guardianship. He was a bridge between the living and the dead, an emblem of the ultimate reality that all must face. This connection to both realms gave Cerberus a significant role in Roman spirituality, symbolizing the inevitability of death and the importance of honoring those who had passed. Worship of Cerberus was not as prevalent as the veneration of major gods like Jupiter or Mars, but he was respected in rituals related to the afterlife. The Romans believed that paying homage to Cerberus could ensure a smooth passage for the souls of the deceased, making it essential for families to acknowledge him in their funerary practices. This acknowledgement was a way of showing respect to the guardian of the underworld, hoping to gain favor and protection for their loved ones in the afterlife. One of the most poignant aspects of Cerberus's worship lay in the rituals performed at burial sites. The Romans understood the significance of death and the journey that awaited every soul. They honored Cerberus with small offerings and prayers, recognizing that his fierce nature was not just a threat but a necessary protector. By placing food, flowers, or other tokens at graves, families expressed their hopes that Cerberus would be kind and allow their loved ones to find peace beyond the mortal realm. The imagery of Cerberus often appeared in art and architecture, reflecting his importance in Roman culture. Statues and mosaics depicted him in various poses, his three heads alert and watchful, symbolizing his vigilance over the souls entering the underworld. These representations served as a reminder of the delicate balance between life and death, urging the living to reflect on their actions and beliefs. In a society that valued honor and legacy, Cerberus became a reminder of the impact one's life has on the lives of others, both in this world and the next. Cerberus's connection to the underworld also led to his presence in the mythological narratives that Romans cherished. Stories of heroes who confronted him, like Heracles during his 12 labors, painted Cerberus not just as a beast to be feared but as a vital part of the hero's journey. These tales resonated deeply with the Roman ethos, as they highlighted the struggle against adversity and the importance of courage in the face of fear. By defeating Cerberus or navigating the challenges he posed, heroes symbolized humanity's triumph over death and the unknown, giving people hope in their own struggles. In Roman religion, the acknowledgement of Cerberus also connected to broader themes of fate and destiny. The Romans believed that the path to the afterlife was predestined, shaped by one's actions and choices in life. Cerberus stood as the gatekeeper, determining who could enter and who would remain in limbo. This belief sparked a sense of urgency among the living to lead virtuous lives, as they sought to ensure that their souls would be treated with kindness and respect upon death. The idea that Cerberus held power over one's fate instilled both fear and a drive to adhere to moral values. Rituals honoring Cerberus often took place during special occasions, such as festivals celebrating the dead. Families would gather to remember their loved ones, sharing stories, food, and offerings in the spirit of connection. These gatherings fostered a sense of community, allowing the living to bond over shared grief and remembrance. Cerberus, as the guardian of the underworld, was invoked in these moments, symbolizing the continuing presence of those who had passed. Through these rituals, the Romans sought not only to honor their ancestors but to keep their memories alive, reminding themselves of the love and lessons shared. In addition to personal worship, Cerberus's presence permeated the civic aspects of Roman life. Temples dedicated to the gods of the underworld often included images or altars for Cerberus, recognizing his integral role in the mythos. These spaces served as places of reflection and connection to the divine, where individuals could confront their fears and seek solace. The rituals performed in these sacred sites reinforced the importance of acknowledging death as a part of life, allowing the living to find comfort in their shared experiences. Cerberus also found a place in philosophical discussions that intertwined with Roman religion. Thinkers pondered his significance, using him as a metaphor for the struggles of the soul in the afterlife. The discussions often revolved around questions of morality, virtue, and the implications of one's actions in this life. By framing Cerberus within these debates, Romans could explore their beliefs and fears about mortality, seeking understanding and acceptance in the face of the unknown. As the Romans continued to evolve their beliefs and practices, Cerberus remained a constant reminder of life's fleeting nature. He represented not just the fear of death, but the understanding that life itself is precious and worthy of celebration. The rituals honoring him became acts of love, showcasing the deep connection between the living and the dead, bridging the gap with reverence and respect. Cerberus, in all his complexity, held a profound place in the hearts and minds of the Roman people. As a guardian of the underworld, he embodied the fears and hopes that accompany the journey through life and death. In worship practices and rituals, he became a figure of both reverence and reflection, reminding the Romans that while death is inevitable, the love and memories we carry forward remain eternal. Through their acknowledgement of Cerberus, they found strength in vulnerability, understanding that to confront fear is to embrace the fullness of the human experience. In the bustling streets of ancient Rome, life was a vibrant tapestry of activity, culture, and beliefs. Amid this lively scene, Cerberus, the fierce three-headed guardian of the underworld, held a significant yet often overlooked role in the daily lives of the Romans. His presence loomed not just in the shadows of mythology but in the hearts and minds of the people, influencing their customs, rituals, and beliefs in profound ways. For many Romans, the fear of death and the unknown was a constant companion. This awareness shaped their lives, influencing how they interacted with one another and how they prepared for the afterlife. Cerberus embodied this fear, serving as a reminder that death was inevitable and that each person must one day face the end of their earthly journey. Families often spoke of Cerberus not merely as a monstrous figure but as a guardian who ensured that the transition to the afterlife was protected, albeit with a touch of fear. This duality made him a powerful symbol that echoed through their daily existence. In daily conversations, Cerberus became a topic of both respect and caution. People shared stories of his fierce loyalty to Hades, recounting tales that served as both entertainment and moral lessons. Through these stories, children learned about the importance of living a virtuous life, understanding that their actions in the world mattered beyond the grave. This teaching was essential in a society that placed great value on honor, legacy, and the impact of one's deeds. Cerberus stood as a reminder that the choices made in life resonated far beyond the moment, influencing one's fate in the afterlife. Cerberus also found his way into Roman customs, particularly those related to death and funerals. Funerary practices were steeped in ritual, designed to honor the deceased and ensure a smooth passage to the afterlife. Families would gather to remember their loved ones, performing rituals that invoked Cerberus's protection over the souls of the departed. This involvement was not just about fear, it was a profound expression of love. By acknowledging Cerberus, families hoped to ensure that their loved ones would be treated kindly as they passed through the gates of the underworld. During funerals, offerings were made at gravesides to appease Cerberus, seeking his favor. Families would place food and flowers on the graves of their loved ones, believing these gifts would please the fearsome guardian. This act became a way to express love and respect, creating a bond that extended beyond life itself. The emotional weight of these gestures resonated deeply within the community, showcasing the shared belief that love transcended even the harshness of death. Cerberus's influence extended to the architecture of tombs and burial sites, where images of the three-headed dog adorned many structures. This symbolism served as a constant reminder of mortality, urging the living to reflect on their own lives while honoring those who had passed. As Romans walked by these tombs, they were confronted with the presence of Cerberus, prompting thoughts of their mortality and the importance of living a life of purpose and virtue. These visual reminders blended seamlessly into the urban landscape, shaping the collective consciousness of the society. Beyond funerary customs, Cerberus played a role in various festivals that celebrated life, death, and the connection between the two. During these occasions, people would gather to honor the gods and their ancestors, weaving together narratives that included Cerberus as a vital player in the stories of the underworld. This blending of myth and daily life created a rich cultural tapestry, reminding Romans that their existence was part of a larger narrative that included both joy and sorrow. Cerberus's presence in art and literature further influenced Roman customs. Poets and playwrights would reference him, embedding his imagery and symbolism into their works. Through these references, Cerberus became a powerful metaphor for the struggles of life, a representation of both fear and loyalty. The stories told in public forums and private gatherings sparked discussions that echoed the values of Roman society, reinforcing the idea that life should be lived with integrity and honor. These narratives provided not just entertainment but also a framework for understanding the human experience. In their homes, Romans adorned their walls with images of Cerberus, showcasing not only a fearsome guardian but also a symbol of familial protection. The belief that he watched over them brought comfort to many, a reminder that even in the face of death, there was a force that guarded the souls of the departed. Cerberus, then, was not just a monster but a protector, embodying the duality of fear and love that defined the Roman experience. As children grew up, they were taught about Cerberus, often through stories shared by their parents and grandparents. These tales included lessons about bravery, loyalty, and the significance of living a life filled with purpose. Cerberus became a character in their imagination, a symbol of the challenges they would face and the importance of overcoming fears. The legacy of this three-headed guardian was passed down through generations, embedding him deeply into the cultural fabric of Rome. Cerberus's influence also seeped into philosophical discussions among thinkers of the time. He was often used as a reference point in debates about morality, the afterlife, and the nature of existence. Romans contemplated his role as a guardian and the symbolism of his fierce demeanor, interpreting it as a reflection of the struggles each person faced in life. This philosophical examination created a deeper understanding of the human condition, reinforcing the belief that facing fears was an essential part of the journey through life. Through all these avenues, Cerberus remained a vital figure in ancient Roman life. He was not just a mythological creature but a representation of the emotions that connected people to their beliefs about death and the afterlife. As families honored him in their customs, and as artists immortalized him in their works, Cerberus became a symbol of both fear and protection, embodying the complex emotions surrounding mortality. In a world where life was fragile and fleeting, Cerberus served as a powerful reminder of the love that persisted even in the face of loss. The guardian of the underworld, with all his ferocity, ultimately represented the enduring connections of love, memory, and hope that defined the human experience in ancient Rome. Once upon a time, in the shadowy corners of the ancient world, Cerberus stood guard at the gates of the underworld, a fearsome figure with 3 heads and a body like a lion. For centuries, this monstrous guardian was both feared and revered. He was seen as a relentless force, a creature of terror whose very presence sent shivers down the spine of anyone who dared to approach the realm of the dead. But as time marched on, so did the image of Cerberus. He transformed, reflecting the changing beliefs and values of society. In the earliest tales, Cerberus was strictly a monster, a brutal protector who ensured that no soul escaped the underworld and that no living being dared to trespass. His role was simple yet terrifying. He guarded the entrance to Hades, representing the finality of death. The 3 heads symbolized the past, present, and future, embodying the cycle of life and the inevitability of mortality. In a world filled with superstitions and fears surrounding death, Cerberus was the embodiment of that dread. People spoke of him in hushed tones, often depicting him as a creature that would devour the unwary, reinforcing the fear surrounding the unknown. However, as cultures evolved and understanding of life and death deepened, so too did perceptions of Cerberus. The fear that once dominated the stories began to ebb, replaced by a fascination with his dual nature. He was no longer just a monster, he became a guardian. This shift was driven by philosophical and cultural changes, as societies began to explore the concepts of loyalty, protection, and even love. Cerberus's 3 heads started to symbolize not just terror, but also the complex emotions tied to death and the afterlife. As the Greeks and Romans engaged with these evolving ideas, they began to see Cerberus as a protector of souls rather than a mere beast. He was no longer just a gatekeeper, he was a loyal guardian, devoted to his master, Hades. This perception painted Cerberus in a more compassionate light, reflecting the human desire for security and safety in the face of death. In artworks, he was portrayed with a fierceness that hinted at loyalty rather than mindless savagery. This new interpretation brought an emotional depth to the character, transforming him into a figure that evoked both fear and admiration. Literature played a crucial role in this evolution. As poets and writers began to incorporate Cerberus into their works, they presented him as a character with feelings and motivations. This narrative shift allowed audiences to connect with him on a personal level. In epic tales, Cerberus became an obstacle that heroes had to face, symbolizing the trials of life and the inevitable confrontation with death. In stories like those of Heracles and Orpheus, he was a test of courage and resilience, not just a mindless beast to be feared. This complexity made him a relatable figure, representing the struggles that everyone faces when confronting their mortality. Art also mirrored this evolution. Over time, sculptures and pottery began to depict Cerberus not only as a fearsome beast, but as a creature with grace and power. Artists emphasized his muscular form and regal bearing, showcasing him as a majestic guardian rather than a mere monster. This artistic portrayal spoke to a growing appreciation for the beauty of life and death, reinforcing the idea that even in fear, there could be a sense of awe and reverence. The transformation of Cerberus's image in art served as a reflection of society's changing attitudes toward death and the afterlife, highlighting a shift from fear to acceptance. Another significant factor influencing the evolution of Cerberus's image was the rise of philosophical thought. As philosophers explored concepts like the soul, the afterlife, and the nature of existence, Cerberus found new meanings within these discussions. Thinkers began to view him as a symbol of the transition between life and death, a necessary figure in the journey of the soul. This deeper understanding allowed Cerberus to be seen as more than just a monster. He became a bridge between worlds, facilitating the passage of souls into the afterlife. In this light, he was honored for his role in ensuring that the dead found peace rather than simply being feared for his ferocity. Cultural exchanges also played a part in shaping Cerberus's image. As different societies interacted, they brought their own beliefs and values, which influenced how Cerberus was perceived. In some cultures, he was associated with the concept of guardianship, emphasizing his role as a protector. This cross-cultural blending helped to humanize Cerberus further, allowing him to be embraced not just as a mythological figure, but as a universal symbol of loyalty and protection that transcended cultural boundaries. As time went on, Cerberus's image continued to evolve. By the time of the Renaissance, he was often depicted as a creature of beauty rather than horror. Artists portrayed him with intricate details, showcasing his elegance and strength. This transformation mirrored the broader cultural shifts of the time, where the fascination with classical mythology and the human experience flourished. Cerberus became a figure of interest, often representing not just fear, but also the allure of the unknown and the beauty of life's fragility. In modern times, Cerberus has found his way into popular culture, evolving yet again to fit the narratives of contemporary storytelling. No longer merely a guardian of the underworld, he appears in films, video games, and literature, often reimagined as a complex character that embodies themes of loyalty, sacrifice, and the struggle against fear. This modern interpretation allows people to engage with Cerberus on a new level, where he can be both a fierce protector and a relatable figure navigating the challenges of existence. Throughout history, Cerberus has undergone a remarkable transformation. From a terrifying monster that symbolized the fear of death to a beloved guardian representing loyalty and protection, his evolution reflects the changing beliefs and values of society. As cultures have grown and changed, so too has the perception of Cerberus, reminding us that even the most fearsome figures can become symbols of hope and connection in the human experience. The journey of Cerberus, with all its twists and turns, speaks to our own struggles with fear and mortality, ultimately reminding us that love and loyalty can shine through even the darkest of stories. Cerberus, the three-headed guardian of the underworld, has prowled through the corridors of myth for centuries, but his influence stretches far beyond ancient tales. In the realm of modern psychology, this fearsome creature has found a place as a powerful symbol of our deepest fears and desires. The image of Cerberus has become a lens through which we can examine our psyches, exploring themes of fear, protection, and the complex emotions tied to death and the afterlife. When people encounter Cerberus in psychological studies, they often think about the primal fears that dwell within us all. His monstrous appearance is not merely a reflection of physical terror, but symbolizes the anxieties that lie just beneath the surface. In a world where the unknown often haunts our thoughts, Cerberus embodies the parts of ourselves that we might want to ignore, the fears of death, loss, and the inevitable end of life. Psychologists recognize that facing these fears is crucial for personal growth and healing, and Cerberus serves as a powerful metaphor for this struggle. In therapy sessions, the image of Cerberus can be a point of connection for many individuals. When clients express their fears about death or the unknown, a therapist might use Cerberus as a way to frame these conversations. Instead of shying away from the darkness that Cerberus represents, they can confront it head-on, transforming the fear into a source of strength. By recognizing Cerberus as a guardian rather than just a monster, clients learn that it is possible to find comfort in the face of their fears. This reinterpretation allows them to reclaim their power, encouraging them to confront what they once feared and to see it as a part of their journey toward healing. Psychoanalysis, too, has drawn on the figure of Cerberus to explore the depths of the human mind. Sigmund Freud's theories about the unconscious mind suggest that our fears and anxieties often stem from repressed thoughts and feelings. Cerberus, with his 3 heads, can be seen as a representation of the complex layers of our psyche, where past, present, and future fears coexist. Each head can symbolize different aspects of our internal struggles: the fear of losing loved ones, the anxiety of facing our own mortality, and the uncertainty of what lies beyond death. This triad mirrors the multifaceted nature of our emotional experiences, revealing how intertwined our fears can be. Carl Jung, another influential figure in psychology, spoke about archetypes and the collective unconscious. In Jungian terms, Cerberus could be viewed as an archetypal figure representing the shadow, the parts of ourselves that we reject or deny. When we encounter Cerberus in our dreams or thoughts, it often signifies an invitation to confront those darker aspects of ourselves. Instead of running away, we are encouraged to engage with our fears, to understand them, and ultimately, to integrate them into our lives. This process can lead to personal transformation, turning fear into a source of wisdom. Modern psychology also recognizes the importance of myth in understanding human behavior. Cerberus's role as a guardian of the underworld can be seen as a metaphor for the boundaries we all face in our lives. Just as he protects the entrance to Hades, we all encounter barriers that we must navigate, whether they be emotional, relational, or existential. These boundaries can evoke feelings of fear, especially when we feel unprepared to confront them. In this way, Cerberus becomes a symbol of the challenges we must face and the strength we can summon to overcome them. Moreover, Cerberus's story resonates with those grappling with grief and loss. When someone experiences the death of a loved one, the fear of what lies beyond can be overwhelming. In this context, Cerberus represents the gatekeeper of that final journey. He embodies the uncertainty that accompanies death, serving as a reminder of the feelings of vulnerability that often arise in times of mourning. Yet, understanding Cerberus's role can provide solace. He can be seen as a protective figure who ensures that loved ones reach a place of peace in the afterlife. This shift in perspective can help individuals find comfort in their grief, allowing them to process their emotions with a sense of hope rather than despair. The evolution of Cerberus's image also parallels the ways in which we understand and express our fears. In contemporary society, there is a growing acceptance of discussing mental health and emotional struggles. Cerberus, once a figure of terror, is being reimagined as a symbol of resilience. As people learn to share their fears and seek support, Cerberus stands as a reminder that confronting our darkest thoughts is an essential part of the healing process. He encourages us to acknowledge our vulnerabilities, ultimately leading to a deeper understanding of ourselves and our relationships with others. As the world continues to change, the psychological significance of Cerberus remains relevant. His presence in modern literature, film, and art reflects the enduring impact of mythology on our collective consciousness. The fearsome guardian has evolved into a complex symbol, inviting us to explore our fears, confront our shadows, and ultimately embrace the full spectrum of our human experience. In doing so, Cerberus teaches us that our fears need not define us, rather, they can be pathways to growth, healing, and understanding. Cerberus, the ancient guardian of the underworld, has become a powerful symbol in modern psychology. He represents the fears and anxieties that lie within us, challenging us to confront the darkness instead of avoiding it. Through psychoanalysis and contemporary therapeutic practices, we can reinterpret Cerberus as a guardian of our emotional landscapes, guiding us through the complexities of life and death. His story continues to resonate with individuals seeking to understand themselves better, reminding us that facing our fears can lead to profound personal transformation. As we navigate the challenges of existence, Cerberus stands as a testament to the power of vulnerability, resilience, and the journey towards self-discovery. In the heart of the Renaissance, a vibrant period bursting with creativity and rediscovery, ancient myths came alive once more. Artists and writers turned to classical stories, reviving figures like Cerberus, the three-headed guardian of the underworld. This creature, once a mere symbol of terror, took on new meanings in the hands of Renaissance thinkers. As they reinterpreted his image, Cerberus transformed into a reflection of humanity's deepest fears and desires, echoing the complex emotions of the time. The Renaissance was marked by a renewed interest in classical antiquity, a time when scholars eagerly sought out the texts of ancient philosophers and poets. This era sparked a cultural awakening, where people began to question the established norms and seek deeper truths. Amidst this intellectual fervor, Cerberus emerged not just as a monstrous guardian, but as a profound symbol of the human condition. Writers began to weave him into their narratives, using his myth to explore themes of death, loyalty, and the journey of the soul. In literature, one can find Cerberus lurking in the pages of works by great writers such as Dante Alighieri. In the Divine Comedy, Dante's descent into hell is a journey fraught with fear and revelation. Here, Cerberus stands as a menacing figure, a creature that embodies the terror of the afterlife. Yet, as Dante navigates this dark realm, he also uncovers the complexities of sin and redemption. Cerberus, with his three heads, symbolizes the nature of human desires. Our appetites can lead us into despair, yet they can also guide us toward understanding. This duality of Cerberus resonates deeply, inviting readers to reflect on their own struggles between base instincts and higher aspirations. In the realm of art, the Renaissance brought forth a flood of visual interpretations of Cerberus. Artists like Sandro Botticelli and Michelangelo found inspiration in classical mythology, infusing their works with new life. Botticelli's paintings often depict mythological scenes with a sense of grace and fluidity. His representation of Cerberus is not just a fearsome guardian, it becomes an intricate part of the narrative, embodying the threshold between life and death. Through the delicate brushstrokes, one can feel the tension of this guardian, a reminder of the fragility of existence. Michelangelo, on the other hand, portrayed Cerberus with a raw intensity that captures the creature's fierce loyalty and ferocity. In his sculptures, Cerberus is not simply an obstacle but a powerful presence, evoking awe and fear. Michelangelo's work serves as a reminder of the strength that lies in the acceptance of our fears. In confronting Cerberus, we are also confronted with our own vulnerabilities, a theme that resonates with the struggles of Renaissance individuals seeking to understand their place in the world. Beyond the confines of literature and art, Cerberus began to represent the broader themes of loyalty and guardianship during the Renaissance. As the period was characterized by shifts in power, political intrigue, and personal loyalties, Cerberus became a metaphor for the complexities of trust. His role as a guardian of the underworld mirrored the precarious nature of alliances among rulers and nobles. People began to see Cerberus not just as a fearsome creature, but as a symbol of fidelity and protection, the embodiment of those who stand vigil over the souls of the departed. The rediscovery of classical mythology during the Renaissance also prompted artists and writers to reflect on the nature of existence. Cerberus became a vessel for exploring the relationship between life and death. In this period of humanism, individuals began to grapple with their mortality, seeking meaning in their fleeting lives. The image of Cerberus, with his three heads representing the past, present, and future, served as a poignant reminder of the inescapable cycle of life. This acknowledgement of death allowed for a deeper appreciation of life itself. As artists and writers revived Cerberus, they were also influencing the public's understanding of the afterlife. The intricate portrayals of the creature in art and literature sparked conversations about death, the soul, and what lies beyond. Cerberus was no longer just a guardian of the underworld, he became a figure that invited reflection on the human experience. People began to question their beliefs about mortality and the afterlife, inspired by the stories and images that surrounded them. This evolution of Cerberus during the Renaissance reveals how art and literature can shape our understanding of fear, loyalty, and the passage of time. The three-headed guardian became a bridge between the ancient world and the modern human experience, allowing individuals to confront their deepest emotions in a way that felt both personal and universal. Each brushstroke, each line of verse, resonated with the struggles and aspirations of Renaissance society, creating a lasting legacy that would influence generations to come. Through this artistic revival, Cerberus transitioned from a terrifying beast into a multifaceted symbol of the human journey. The Renaissance breathed new life into his myth, encouraging people to confront their fears, embrace their vulnerabilities, and seek meaning in the chaos of existence. In the hands of artists and writers, Cerberus became more than a guardian, he became a mirror reflecting the complexities of the human soul, inviting all to explore the depths of their own emotions and experiences. In the dim light of old storytelling traditions, a creature like Cerberus roams, whispering tales that twist and turn through the fabric of folklore and fairy tales. As children gathered around the warmth of flickering flames, their eyes wide with wonder, the shadow of Cerberus would loom large in the stories they heard. This three-headed guardian, originally a fierce sentinel of the underworld, took on new life in these narratives, his image evolving into a symbol of both fear and protection. In the world of folklore, Cerberus embodies the tension between safety and danger, standing at the crossroads of the known and the unknown. His presence can be felt in stories where heroes embark on quests, often needing to confront their fears to achieve their goals. Imagine a brave child venturing into a dark forest, the branches overhead twisting like gnarled fingers. There, lurking in the shadows, is the spirit of Cerberus, a reminder that challenges lie ahead. This creature, with his fierce loyalty, becomes not just an obstacle but also a guardian of deeper truths. As tales are passed down through generations, the portrayal of Cerberus in folklore begins to shift. In some stories, he appears as a terrifying figure, instilling fear in the hearts of those who dare approach. In others, he is depicted as a misunderstood creature, bound by duty yet yearning for connection. This duality resonates with children, who often grapple with their own fears and misunderstandings of the world around them. In a gentle way, these stories encourage them to confront their anxieties, suggesting that fear can be tamed and understood. Cerberus's influence extends beyond the dark and frightening into the whimsical realm of fairy tales. Here, he becomes a character that children can relate to. Imagine a young girl lost in a magical land, stumbling upon a castle guarded by a friendly three-headed dog. Each head represents a different trait. One is wise, one is playful, and one is fierce. Through their interactions, the girl learns valuable lessons about friendship, bravery, and the importance of understanding those who seem different. This playful adaptation allows children to see Cerberus not just as a monster but as a companion, helping them navigate their own feelings of fear and excitement. In children's literature, Cerberus has been transformed into a figure of comfort and loyalty. Stories emerge where he helps young heroes on their journeys, guiding them through trials and tribulations. With every page turned, children are reminded that even the most fearsome creatures can have hearts that beat with kindness. This message is powerful. It teaches kids that those who guard the boundaries of fear can also be allies in their adventures. These tales serve as allegories for the trials that children face as they grow. Just as Cerberus stands guard at the gates of the underworld, so too do children encounter their own gates of fear. The stories resonate with themes of courage and resilience, encouraging children to confront their fears head-on. They learn that with every challenge, there is an opportunity to grow stronger and more compassionate. The figure of Cerberus, in his myriad forms, becomes a touchstone for bravery, reminding young readers that it's okay to feel afraid but important to face their fears. The adaptations of Cerberus in folklore and fairy tales also reflect societal values and lessons that resonate across cultures. In many stories, his presence serves as a reminder of the importance of balance between light and dark, safety and danger. These narratives often teach children about the complexities of life, showing them that fear can coexist with love and loyalty. Cerberus, in these stories, becomes a bridge that connects the realms of the living and the dead, the safe and the unknown. Through folklore and fairy tales, the essence of Cerberus transforms from a mere guardian of the underworld to a beloved character in the hearts of children. His evolution into a figure of protection and guidance speaks to the resilience of storytelling itself. Each retelling adds layers to his character, weaving him deeper into the collective consciousness. The stories remind us that fear can be faced, understood, and even befriended. As children listen to tales of Cerberus, they learn that life is filled with challenges and uncertainties. Yet, in those moments of darkness, there is always a light to guide them, whether it be the unwavering loyalty of a three-headed guardian or the support of friends and family. These lessons, wrapped in the fabric of enchanting stories, remain with them as they navigate their own journeys, helping to shape their understanding of bravery and empathy. In this way, Cerberus's influence in folklore and fairy tales transcends time and culture, leaving an indelible mark on the hearts of those who encounter his stories. With each retelling, he becomes a companion on the journey of life, guiding children through the labyrinth of their fears and dreams. In this intricate dance of storytelling, Cerberus stands as a reminder that even the most fearsome guardians can have a tender heart, waiting to be understood and embraced. In the shadows of ancient tales, Cerberus stands as a powerful symbol, representing not just a creature guarding the gates of the underworld, but also the intricate layers of human emotions and experiences. His story, filled with twists of loyalty, fear, and protection, offers valuable lessons that resonate through time. With each legend that echoes through the ages, we discover morals that touch the core of our humanity, inviting us to reflect on our own fears and desires. At first glance, Cerberus might seem like a simple monster, a terrifying beast with 3 heads and a fierce bark. However, as we listen closely to his story, we uncover deeper truths. His role as the guardian of the underworld reveals the delicate balance between life and death. This duality invites us to confront our own fears about mortality. Every person, at some point, grapples with the idea of what happens after we take our last breath. Cerberus teaches us that while death may seem frightening, it is also a natural part of life. By facing this fear, we can appreciate the time we have and live more fully in the present. Cerberus's loyalty to Hades, the god of the underworld, emphasizes the importance of duty and commitment. This loyalty resonates with anyone who has loved or cared for someone deeply. It shows us that devotion often comes with challenges and sacrifices. In life, we face moments where we must stand by those we love, even when the path is difficult. Cerberus's unwavering dedication is a reminder that true loyalty is not about the absence of fear, but about standing firm despite it. This reflection speaks to the essence of relationships, teaching us that love and loyalty can provide strength in the face of adversity. As stories of Cerberus unfold, they reveal another layer of his character, the fear he instills in those who approach the underworld. This fear, however, is not just about Cerberus himself, it mirrors the fears we all carry within us. Each head of Cerberus can symbolize a different aspect of fear, the fear of the unknown, the fear of loss, and the fear of failure. In confronting Cerberus, heroes like Heracles are compelled to face these fears head-on. The journey into the underworld represents the internal struggle we all experience when we confront our deepest anxieties. Cerberus challenges us to recognize our fears, to understand them, and ultimately, to embrace them as part of our human experience. Cerberus also highlights the concept of boundaries. As a guardian, he protects the realm of the dead from the living. This idea prompts us to think about the boundaries we establish in our own lives, boundaries that protect our hearts and souls. Just as Cerberus guards the entrance to the underworld, we create barriers to keep ourselves safe from emotional pain. However, these barriers can also isolate us. The lessons from Cerberus encourage us to find balance in our lives. It's essential to protect ourselves, but we must also be willing to connect with others and face our vulnerabilities. The stories remind us that while it's natural to have walls, true strength lies in opening ourselves up to love and connection. The narratives surrounding Cerberus often involve heroes who seek to understand him, to find a way past his ferocity. This quest for understanding echoes the human desire to connect and communicate, even with those who seem vastly different from us. Cerberus teaches us about compassion. He embodies the idea that every creature has a story, and by seeking to understand, we can bridge the gaps that fear creates. This lesson resonates strongly in a world often divided by misunderstandings and prejudice. By acknowledging our fears and the fears of others, we foster empathy, allowing compassion to flourish. Moreover, Cerberus's transformation from a feared guardian to a complex character in modern tales illustrates the evolution of our understanding of fear itself. As we tell and retell his story, we learn that fear can be a catalyst for growth. It can inspire bravery, provoke change, and lead to profound self-discovery. The journey through fear often leads to the discovery of inner strength and resilience. Cerberus's tale encourages us to embrace our fears as part of our personal journey, urging us to confront them rather than flee. In many ways, Cerberus serves as a mirror reflecting our inner struggles. He represents the fears we all carry, yet also the strength we possess to overcome them. The lessons learned from his stories inspire courage in the face of adversity. They remind us that while we may be afraid, we are not alone in our struggles. Just like the heroes who faced Cerberus, we too can confront our fears and emerge stronger on the other side. These narratives encourage us to look beyond the surface, urging us to seek the deeper meanings in our fears and desires. Cerberus, in his multifaceted role, invites us to embrace our vulnerabilities while recognizing the power of love and loyalty. The stories we share about him not only reveal the complexities of the human experience, but also ignite a sense of hope. Through the lens of Cerberus, we learn that fear, while daunting, can lead to growth and understanding. Each encounter with the beast is an opportunity to reflect on our own lives, our relationships, our boundaries, and our desires. As we navigate through the tales of Cerberus, we uncover not just the lessons he imparts, but also the shared humanity that binds us all together in our journey through fear and love. In a world where shadows and light dance together, Cerberus emerges not just as a mythological creature, but as a powerful symbol for contemporary society. His presence echoes through modern discussions, reminding us of the complexities we face in a rapidly changing world. This three-headed guardian of the underworld reflects our fears, our struggles, and the burdens we carry, offering a mirror to the issues that shape our lives today. Cerberus stands at the gates of our consciousness, representing the obstacles we encounter as we navigate the intricacies of modern life. He embodies the fears that grip our hearts: fear of failure, fear of the unknown, and fear of loss. In today's society, where anxiety runs high, many feel overwhelmed by the pressures of daily life. The image of Cerberus guarding the entrance to the underworld serves as a poignant reminder that we must confront our fears rather than hide from them. His fierce loyalty to Hades also reflects the fierce loyalty many people have toward their beliefs, ideologies, and communities, often leading to conflict when confronted with different perspectives. As we engage in conversations about mental health, Cerberus takes on a new role as a metaphor for the internal battles we face. Many struggle with anxiety and depression, feeling as though they are chained to their fears, unable to escape. Just like the heroes in ancient myths who faced Cerberus, individuals today are called to confront their inner demons. This struggle is not just personal, it echoes the collective experience of society, where stigma and misunderstanding often overshadow the importance of mental health. By embracing Cerberus as a symbol, we encourage open discussions about mental health, breaking the chains of silence and shame that bind so many. In a world rife with division, Cerberus also represents the barriers that separate us from understanding one another. His three heads can symbolize the different perspectives we hold, each with its own voice, opinion, and fear. When we let fear dictate our interactions, misunderstandings and conflict arise. However, Cerberus invites us to engage with these fears. Instead of allowing them to build walls, we can learn to navigate the complex landscape of human relationships. By recognizing the shared fears we all carry, we can foster empathy and compassion. Cerberus, once a fearsome figure, becomes a bridge for connection, urging us to listen and understand one another. As social issues gain prominence in public discourse, Cerberus serves as a metaphor for the systemic challenges we face. In discussions about inequality, discrimination, and injustice, the image of Cerberus guarding the underworld becomes a representation of the societal barriers that prevent progress. These barriers often feel insurmountable, much like the ferocity of Cerberus himself. Yet, history has shown that when individuals come together, they can challenge and overcome even the most daunting obstacles. Cerberus reminds us that the fight for justice is not just for the present, it is for future generations who will inherit our struggles. The essence of Cerberus also resonates with the theme of protection. In an age where communities are fragmented, the idea of guardianship takes on new meaning. Cerberus symbolizes the instinct to protect what we hold dear. Families, friends, and communities come together to safeguard their values, identities, and loved ones. However, this instinct can sometimes lead to exclusion. Cerberus's story challenges us to expand our definition of protection. True guardianship requires opening our hearts and minds to others, recognizing that we are all part of a larger tapestry of humanity. By doing so, we foster a sense of belonging that transcends fear and division. In popular culture, Cerberus's influence can be seen in literature, film, and art, where he continues to evolve as a metaphor. Contemporary storytellers use his image to explore themes of loyalty, fear, and redemption. These stories resonate deeply with audiences, tapping into universal emotions and experiences. By invoking Cerberus in modern narratives, creators provide a platform for discussions about our shared struggles and hopes. This connection to ancient myth reminds us that while the world may change, the core of the human experience remains constant. As we grapple with the complexities of our society, Cerberus stands as a testament to our resilience. His fierce presence encourages us to confront our fears, to listen to each other, and to challenge the barriers that divide us. The stories of Cerberus remind us that every struggle can lead to growth, understanding, and connection. When we face our fears together, we build a foundation of compassion that allows us to thrive in a world often marked by uncertainty. Ultimately, Cerberus's role in contemporary society is not just about fear and loyalty, it is about the power of transformation. By embracing the lessons he embodies, we can cultivate a more inclusive and empathetic world. In doing so, we honor the complexities of our shared journey, recognizing that each encounter with fear can lead to profound moments of connection, healing, and growth. Cerberus, once a fierce guardian of the underworld, becomes a beacon of hope, urging us to navigate the shadows of our fears with courage and compassion. As shadows flicker across the pages of history, the figure of Cerberus looms large, a symbol of fear, protection, and the complexities of human emotion. But what does the future hold for this ancient guardian? As society evolves, so too does the way we perceive mythological figures like Cerberus. The story of this three-headed beast will continue to transform, reflecting the shifting tides of culture, values, and collective fears. Cerberus has already made his mark in literature, film, and art, but the future may see him take on even more nuanced roles. As the world grapples with pressing issues such as mental health, environmental change, and social justice, Cerberus could evolve from a mere monster into a multifaceted character representing both our fears and our hopes. He may become a symbol not just of what we need to guard against, but also of what we strive to protect, our families, our communities, and the very planet we inhabit. In stories yet to be told, Cerberus might serve as a bridge between realms, connecting the living with the deceased. This connection would resonate deeply in cultures increasingly focused on spirituality and mindfulness. The growing interest in personal well-being could lead to portrayals of Cerberus as a guide through the afterlife, emphasizing his role in helping souls find peace. Imagine a narrative where Cerberus, often seen as an obstacle, becomes a compassionate figure, aiding those who struggle with the loss of loved ones or their own mortality. As cultural shifts influence mythological interpretations, the world of gaming may also contribute to Cerberus's future. Video games have become a dominant form of storytelling, allowing for interactive experiences that engage players on emotional levels. Here, Cerberus could emerge as a central character, perhaps as a misunderstood guardian of a realm filled with challenges. Players might find themselves not just fighting against him, but working alongside him to confront greater fears, illustrating the journey of understanding and acceptance. This dynamic relationship could create a deeper emotional connection, transforming Cerberus from a fearsome monster into a relatable figure navigating his own struggles. The growing emphasis on diversity and inclusion in storytelling will also impact how Cerberus is portrayed. As stories increasingly reflect a wider range of experiences and perspectives, Cerberus might embody elements from various cultures, taking on attributes from other mythological beings. This blending of myths can lead to fresh interpretations and new narratives that resonate with people from all walks of life. By breaking away from rigid archetypes, Cerberus could become a more universal symbol of the struggles we all face, bridging cultural divides and fostering empathy among diverse audiences. With the rise of digital platforms, Cerberus's image is likely to reach new heights, crossing into realms of social media and virtual reality. Engaging content could spark discussions around mental health, fear, and protection. Users might share stories that reflect their personal battles, invoking Cerberus as a metaphor for the challenges they face. These conversations will help humanize the creature, allowing individuals to connect their experiences to the mythology and find solace in shared struggles. In literature, as the lines between genres blur, Cerberus might find himself in unexpected narratives. The future could see a rise in speculative fiction where Cerberus becomes an unlikely hero in stories that challenge traditional norms. Imagine him as a character navigating a world of magic and technology, wrestling with his own identity while guarding not just the underworld, but the balance of all realms. This exploration of self-identity can resonate deeply, reflecting the struggles many face in an increasingly complex world. Furthermore, the exploration of Cerberus in educational contexts could emerge. Teachers and educators might use his story to discuss themes such as fear, loyalty, and the importance of facing one's challenges. By framing Cerberus as a lesson in understanding our emotions, educators can engage students in meaningful discussions about mental health and emotional resilience. This approach could transform Cerberus from a figure of terror into a source of inspiration for young minds grappling with their own fears. As society becomes more conscious of environmental issues, Cerberus may also serve as a guardian of nature. This future portrayal could emphasize his role in protecting the earth and its creatures. Imagine a narrative where Cerberus stands watch over a lush, thriving world, representing the urgent need for conservation and stewardship. In this context, he symbolizes not just fear but a profound sense of responsibility, reminding us that we are all guardians of our planet. The essence of Cerberus will continue to resonate in popular culture, acting as a reflection of our deepest fears, hopes, and desires. As we navigate an increasingly complex world, his character may adapt to meet our changing needs. The powerful imagery of Cerberus, with his fierce loyalty and daunting presence, will likely remain a touchstone for storytelling, allowing us to explore the darkest corners of our psyche while also celebrating the light. Through these evolving narratives, Cerberus will invite us to confront our fears and forge connections with one another. By understanding the lessons he embodies, we can find strength in vulnerability, courage in facing the unknown, and the hope that lies in the bonds we create. Cerberus's journey is far from over, it is merely entering a new chapter, ready to engage with the hearts and minds of future generations. In the dark corners of ancient tales, where shadows twist and ancient whispers linger, there exists a creature that has captured the human imagination for centuries, Cerberus. This three-headed guardian stands at the gates of the underworld, a fierce protector of souls. The history of Cerberus is not just a collection of myths, it's a timeline of human emotions, fears, and reflections on life and death. The earliest accounts of Cerberus can be traced back to ancient Greek texts, where he is depicted as the fearsome dog of Hades. Hesiod, in his works from around the 8th century BCE, introduces Cerberus as the offspring of Echidna and Typhon, monstrous beings that embody chaos. This lineage sets the stage for Cerberus as a creature not just of brute strength but of profound significance in the battle between order and disorder. The idea of a creature born from chaos resonates with our innate fears, what lurks in the dark corners of our lives, waiting to emerge. As time marched on, the story of Cerberus evolved. By the 5th century BCE, playwrights like Aeschylus and Euripides began to explore the emotional weight of Cerberus's role. He was no longer just a guardian of the dead, but a symbol of the fear and grief associated with loss. In their tragedies, the beast is often portrayed as an unstoppable force, reflecting the inevitability of death and the pain of separation. Audiences could feel the weight of their own grief mirrored in his ferocious loyalty, understanding that even the fiercest protector must stand sentinel over the finality of life. The image of Cerberus took on new dimensions during the Hellenistic period. Artists and poets began to depict him in various forms, capturing his essence in sculptures and paintings. In the 3rd century BCE, the famed sculptor Lysippus created a marble statue of Cerberus that showcased not just his intimidating presence but also his complex character. This artistic representation evoked empathy from those who gazed upon it. Instead of seeing him merely as a monster, people began to perceive him as a protector, a guardian of souls that, despite his fierce appearance, had a vital role in the journey of life. As the Roman Empire emerged, Cerberus found a new home in the heart of Roman culture. In the 1st century BCE, the Roman poet Virgil introduced Cerberus in his epic poem, the Aeneid. Here, he plays a pivotal role in guiding the hero Aeneas through the underworld. Virgil's portrayal emphasizes the duality of Cerberus. He is both fearsome and awe-inspiring, a creature that embodies the complexities of the human experience. Readers felt a mix of dread and reverence, recognizing that Cerberus was a reflection of their own fears about death and the afterlife. As the centuries passed, Cerberus's legacy continued to evolve. In the Middle Ages, he became intertwined with Christian symbolism. Artists often depicted him as a guardian of hell, representing the sins and fears of humanity. In Dante Alighieri's Inferno, written in the early 14th century, Cerberus is portrayed as a gluttonous beast, eternally devouring the souls of the damned. This chilling image struck a chord with readers, evoking deep emotions as they grappled with the consequences of their actions and the heavy burden of sin. The portrayal reminded them that fear can be both a punishment and a protector, forcing them to confront their own choices. The Renaissance sparked a renewed interest in classical mythology, and Cerberus re-emerged as a fascinating subject for artists and writers alike. In the 15th and 16th centuries, the likes of Sandro Botticelli and Giovanni Battista Tiepolo brought Cerberus to life on canvas, capturing his dual nature of terror and loyalty. These artworks stirred emotions in viewers, blending beauty with the understanding that even the most fearsome creatures have a purpose and a story worth telling. The 19th century marked a significant turning point in the perception of Cerberus. Romantic poets and authors began to reinterpret him through a lens of emotion and humanity. In poems by Percy Bysshe Shelley and John Keats, Cerberus transformed into a metaphor for the fears that linger within the human heart. No longer just a guardian of the underworld, he became a representation of inner struggles and the complexities of love, loss, and longing. This profound shift resonated deeply with readers, allowing them to see Cerberus not just as a creature but as a mirror reflecting their own fears and desires. In the 20th and 21st centuries, Cerberus has found his way into popular culture, appearing in films, video games, and literature. His image has morphed into various forms, from a terrifying monster to a misunderstood guardian. In movies like Harry Potter and video games such as God of War, Cerberus has become a symbol of challenges to overcome, serving as a reminder of the inner battles we all face. This transformation showcases how Cerberus's legacy continues to evolve, adapting to the fears and hopes of each generation. As we look toward the future, the timeline of Cerberus serves as a reminder of our shared humanity. Through the ages, he has represented not only the fear of death, but also the complex emotions tied to loyalty, loss, and the unknown. The lessons derived from Cerberus's story resonate deeply within us, encouraging reflection on our own lives and the fears that shape our experiences. In this rich tapestry of mythology, Cerberus stands as a testament to the enduring power of stories. From ancient texts to modern interpretations, he reflects the ever-changing nature of fear, love, and loyalty. Each chapter of his history invites us to confront our own emotions, reminding us that even the fiercest guardians are rooted in the complexities of the human experience. As we turn the pages of time, the story of Cerberus will continue to inspire, evoke emotion, and remind us of the delicate balance between fear and protection.